Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. Today in the show, we are going to recap Quintet 3. We're going to talk about the ADCC European Trials, Fight to Win 88 in Orlando. We are going to talk about World Series of Grappling 2. We are going to talk about IBJJF LA Pro. And we are going to preview Fight to Win 88 in Miami. As always, I'm your host, Maine, here with my co-host,
Ryan Stark.
How you doing? Good to have you back, Ryan.
Thank you very much. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. This is the first time I've had you back since you had your baby.
That's right. Yep. I am a father, and the kid is doing well and still alive, so I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be terrible if it wasn't.
Yep. You're right. Yep. This would have been even more awkward than it is right now.
I feel like I wouldn't have brought it up.
Yeah,
if that
that's
happened.
true. I would hope not.
I'd be like, hey, Ryan, how you been? You'd be like, I've been okay.
Yeah. And
So-
if I still did the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear you're doing well.
Yeah.
Neil is out on vacation, I think. I didn't actually check. He was like, I can't be here. I was like, oh, cool. Let me get Ryan then.
Yeah,
so
nice.
you're here. We were recording this on Monday because shit has been crazy this weekend. Let's go into news. So pretty much there's been almost no grappling news as far as like jiu-jitsu goes because everyone was watching Quintet and Khabib versus McGregor. And then the post-fight fight of Khabib versus Dylan Dennis.
Yes, that was just plain awesome to watch it. See, I think a lot of people are saying that it was like disrespectful and we're supposed to be martial artists, but watching somebody try to jump kick somebody in the face off the cage was I can't admit it wasn't awesome.
Dude, that screen grab of Khabib running and looking like Pride Rules. Somebody actually made a Pride Rules meme of like it was Shogun. You used to jump over and stomp kick guys. It looks like the exact same frame as Khabib jumping over and gonna stomp kick Dennis in the face.
The memes are coming and like the videos and all that stuff. I think the funniest one I saw so far was on Keenan Cornelius'
That was the funniest.
Instagram.
Yeah, that was the funniest.
For sure.
Was it Keenan online or was it Keenan Cornelius?
I don't
It was
know.
It was Keenan.
I don't know anymore.
It was like a it was a Deadpool. They used the audio from Deadpool. Like they do the scratch of the thing,
yeah.
and they go, you might wonder how I got here. But
That's
they'll start,
me,
and
2
it's-
years ago.
It's fucking hilarious.
It's amazing.
And it zooms in really slowly. Like I have gotten so much enjoyment out of this event. The fight was good. It's whatever. We don't really cover MMA on this, but again, it was such a huge event that if you're a fan of grappling or jiu-jitsu, there's no way that you didn't hear about it, you didn't see it. If you have a social media, there's no way it's not all over your feed. So, on other news, I watched Quintet late. I didn't get a chance to watch it when it was happening. So I had to be off social media for like a day and a half while I was trying to watch Quintet. Because I'd watched like a couple matches and I had to go do something because I was super busy this weekend. And I was able to not get it spoiled for me. But I missed the first like 6 hours of all the memes. And I was like, I got on after watching Quintet and I was like, holy shit, what happened to Instagram?
Yeah, it was just amazing. I was freaking out the whole time, and I think that was good of you to back out of the chat and not let us talk too much about it because I know we were going to ruin it for you. Everybody was just,
for
just
Quintet.
exploding. Absolutely, it's just exploding. I could not talk about it. I think there was 3 matches that didn't end in a sub.
Something
Possibly
like that. Yeah,
something crazy.
We're gonna preview. We're going to recap Quintet here in a minute, but we want to talk about the craziness that was the Dennis fight. Do you want to? So there's a big question. Like, do you want to see him fight Khabib and Dennis?
I mean, I think
What are we gonna learn from that?
yeah, nothing.
It's like if it's in a cage, like Khabib is gonna maul him. If it's in jiu-jitsu, well, they're not gonna fight. Actually,
Yeah, that's right.
You said it earlier. You're like, it's combat jiu-jitsu, regardless of if it's combat jiu-jitsu or not.
I just imagine it being like just a collar tie match of them slapping the back of each other's head, and I can't imagine them fighting. I can't imagine Khabib not mauling him worse than he did Conor, and I can't imagine Dylan Dennis's jiu-jitsu overpowering the wrestling in a fight. I mean, with the ground and pound.
Oh, yeah.
In a jiu-jitsu match, I don't really care either. But
it's like I don't really want to see it. It's like I'm watching an MMA fighter do a jiu-jitsu match. It's kind of like, or a prime MMA fighter to fight a straight up jiu-jitsu guy. It's like, it may, like his wrestling may be able to cancel it out. It just doesn't do anything for me as a matchup. So
yeah, no disrespect to wrestling. I just don't also like to watch wrestlers do jiu-jitsu matches because it turns into a sturdy posture match rather than like a full of techniques.
well, like a match we saw at Quintet here.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kasai Pro put that up to like, who wants to see this match? And everyone was like, I want to see it. And I was kind of like, I don't kind of want to see this match actually. I'm kind of missing me with that. I mean,
Yeah.
look, let's be serious. If they put it on, I'm not going to watch it. We're not going to recap it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
much more, honestly, there's much more interesting grappling matches for Dennis, and there's honestly much more interesting fights for Khabib. I'd much rather see those guys stay in their lane, as it be.
I agree.
But so that doesn't, again, there's literally like no other news this week. It has just been Quintet and UFC for everything. Nobody's put out an article about anything else that wasn't like literally events that happened or those two things.
With the massive amount of grappling, I just think everybody who is professionally into grappling was competing somewhere this weekend.
Oh yeah, dude, so there's a ton of events. I mean, we have Quintet, we got European Trials, we got Fight to Win, we got World Series of Grappling, we got LA Pro, and the UFC. Like, we were busy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So I think that does it for news. You got anything else you want to talk about or add or anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, let's move on to the recaps then. So on to our recap of Quintet 3. This event was the first event that they've run in America. It was in Vegas.
Nice. I did not know that. That it was the first one. I mean, I know it was in Vegas, but I didn't know it was the first one.
They've been in Japan. For both the other ones, have been in Japan.
Okay.
I think even the fight night was in Japan as well. So this is their first U.S.-based event. It was cool because they had not L.A. guys, Las Vegas guys. Like Mir's a Las Vegas guy. I think Tate's Las Vegas as well. So she was one of the commentators on the events. And the other commentator, I think, was Sean Wheelock. We'll talk about the commentary a little later, but let's get into the matches. Unless there's anything, again, this event was great. I had a ton of fun watching this. I had watched it after the fact, and so getting off social media for a couple of days was a little rough. I was just trying to not have it spoiled for me, and I managed to do it. So it was great. First super fight was Nicky Ryan versus Hideo Tokoro, and I didn't know the accolades of Hideo Tokoro. I didn't know they talked about his MMA record. I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen him fight before. Like, oh, he has a lot of submission wins. He's a veteran of MMA. And Nicky just put on a performance.
Yeah, absolutely. A veteran, definitely. But as far as grappling goes, I think putting anybody who's above the age of 35 against Nicky is going to be a problem this day and age.
I think unfair is what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's pretty unfair. You've also learned like an old way of grappling, or if you've done any MMA, I would just stay away from Nicky Ryan because he's pure grappler and he can choke you just as quickly as he can take your leg off.
I was talking to one of my coaches, Greg, about this a while ago, and there's a turn that happens when you do like straight jiu-jitsu where you're super scared to run into MMA guys, like white belt and into blue belt. And a guy does MMA or pro MMA, you in a tournament, you're like, oh God, I got to fight this guy. And then at about like late blue, early purple, you make this switch that I'm happy to get MMA guys in my bracket because I'm like, cool, they've spent a bunch of time doing stuff that's not grappling. And I think that's really apparent with Gordon and with Nicky right now. It's like, oh, you're dealing with a dude that just does grappling. They talked about he's been grappling 4 years. He started at 13. He's 17 now. Holy shit. He is so good.
Yeah, too good for that short amount of time. I'm honestly, it like pisses me off a little bit.
Dude, it's insane. Like to watch how good, like his positional control, the way he gets around Tokoro, the way he gets the back, the way he blocks the choke in, like everything about this was beautiful, brilliant technique, and he was 1 to 2 steps ahead of Tokoro the entire match. Finishes a beautiful, clean rear naked choke. He crosses his feet really high on Tokoro's body, which I thought was kind of funny, but he's so short and his legs are so flexible that he's not even going to have to worry about the ankle lock there.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's something he even thinks about. Even if you got in that ankle lock position and he was hipping into it, I don't think it would mess with his feet at all. No, I don't think that's something you do. I don't think something that's real.
High level guys don't really tap to that.
Yeah,
we saw Gordon
exactly.
Ryan also. They were at one point. We'll talk about Gordon Ryan's matches in the tournament a little later. He had the body triangle, and it was on the wrong side, basically, where you have the leg with the far leg that's actually triangled on the ground side.
Right.
And there's an ankle lock that can happen there if guys want to do it, but. Right. He was just, again, Wagner's not worried about that. Gordon's not worried about that. Any guy that plays the body triangle that heavily has the flexibility to just not have to tap to that ankle lock. So, absolutely. Again, this is just another beautiful performance from Nicky Ryan. It was really funny to hear Miesha Tate talk about this match because this is the first match of the event, right?
Absolutely, yeah. First match. Listen to her introducing Nicky Ryan as if it was the first time the world heard about him. But I think we could all tell it's the first time that she heard about him when she read his name on the card.
It was like, 17-year-old. She was reading him off like he was a big prospect and like, oh, we'll see what he can do. It's like, yo, he's the youngest ADCC competitor ever.
Yeah, like
he's really fucking good. He's been crushing black belts for like 2 years now. And like they don't let him compete at purple anymore.
Yeah,
like I have not seen him against a purple belt. I think since Fight to Win like 35 or something. Yeah. That was the last purple belt. And Seth talked about. He goes, I can't put him against purple belts now. He goes, he crushed this really good purple belt in like a minute. Like
that I understand in terms of how, I guess, promoting goes and scheduling, but you have to make adjustments in terms of how good somebody is. You have to play them to their talent.
Yeah, so he's a purple belt in little quotes there.
Right,
in
exactly.
Air quotes,
yeah,
he's 17.
yeah. According to some system that somebody made, but he's rear naked choking black belts like left and right.
Routinely. So, he's good, and his leg game's good. We didn't even see his leg game. We just saw his back game, which him and his brother have just looked fantastic. Again, go back and watch this performance. It was... Every time we see Nicky Ryan, I'm more and more impressed with him. Like, there are no holes in his game.
Good passing. Like, good no-gi passing.
Dude, good jiu-jitsu
and then
all around.
either finishes the pass or he drops into a leg lock. It's just like, it's crazy.
And nothing looks floaty or spazzy. Everything just looks like, he looks like a professional grappler at a high level. And you're like, oh, he's 17. Yep. Like, he's not even athletically, like, into his body yet.
Yeah, when he can start bullying people and doing some of the stuff that Gordon Ryan does, and if he starts lifting or if he wants to bump up weight class.
I think he is lifting.
Is he lifting?
I think he is.
Okay.
But again, we've watched him get way taller in the past year. He's 17. So, like, go back and watch this match. We can't say enough good things about it. It's just crazy to watch how good Nicky Ryan's getting good. Hideo is no joke either. Like, he's a good veteran black belt.
He's making people look not good, and then people see these people like Takoro for the first time, and they think he's not good, but he is very good. It's just Nicky Ryan is so much better. His level is so much higher.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that was the first match of the event, and we very quickly learned that Miesha Tate may not have a huge grasp on the submission grappling scene, and it was going to be interesting for the rest of the event.
Yep.
So on to the first matchup. We had Team Alpha Male versus Team Sakuraba. Again, I love that Gordon Ryan was on Team Alpha Male. I went like, well, that's a ringer submission in there.
Yeah,
to throw that guy in the middle of your bracket.
I was just looking at that like, okay, so it's sort of teams, I guess.
Yeah, it's like Team Polaris, that makes sense. Team Sakuraba, okay, that kind of makes sense. Team Ten Planet, that makes sense. Team Alpha Male. We can argue about that.
Yeah.
We can make an argument. Like Gordon Ryan maybe once trained with them.
Right.
I honestly think he has trained up there at the Muscle Farm gym. At the Alpha Male headquarters. I think he has trained there before.
Okay.
But again, he doesn't like train there.
Right. I mean, you would think it'd be the squad, the Danaher Death squad going in if it was going to be Gordon and somebody.
Dude, that would be crazy.
It would be crazy.
His brother. I put his brother on the team too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be great. So
it would be fast.
First match, we had Uriah Faber versus Kazushi Sakuraba. What'd you think about this match, Ryan?
I liked it, actually. I thought Sakuraba, I just think he's going to lay there and die, but he does an amazing job. Like, his guard was really good for Uriah, who was, like, jumping around. He's a fast guy doing a decent amount of techniques, but for the most part, you're worried about his speeds. But Sakuraba did a great job of keeping his feet on the hips.
He's a game competitor. And again, he's definitely lost a step, but he doesn't look bad. Like, his technique is still there.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
Why I want to see him good. I want to see Sakuraba stay in jiu-jitsu and wrestling and not do more MMA.
Yeah. Is that a possibility?
What?
Does he talk about doing more MMA?
Dude, he just fought, like, I want to say, like, a year or 2 years ago in Ryzen. Didn't he fight,
I think you're right.
He fought, like, I didn't fight Henzo. He fought,
That makes me feel bad, and I didn't even watch it.
Dude, he fought Shinya Aoki. And Aoki pounded him out from the back, and it was rough to watch.
Yeah, and he's got good grappling too.
Dude, Aoki's a murderer.
Yeah. So anyway,
yeah, we haven't seen him since like Metamoris in like a grappling event. Actually, we might have seen him at ADCC, but I don't remember. So that was the first round, and they drew. So the format for Quintet is pretty interesting. You have 2 5-man teams. Sorry, you have 4 5-man teams total, and each team has 5 members. And then what happens is, the combined weight of your team has to be, I think it's under about 1,000 pounds, something like that. It's like 940 pounds. It's somewhere around under a weight limit. And then your first member goes against the first member of the other team. If there's a draw, both grapplers are eliminated. If there is a win, the grappler that wins goes on to the next person in the opposite team. And then if there's a draw, both are eliminated. So basically, it's an elimination. It's a team grappling battle. So Uriah and Sakuraba, they have a draw. Both are eliminated. You move on to the next person in each team. Again, dude, we've done this 4 times. Every time we explain Quintet, I feel like it's not clear at all on the microphone.
Can I ask something also that I want to make sure? If there's a 40-pound difference, do they decrease the match time to 4 minutes instead of 8?
They do. Unless it's a super fight.
That's what I was going to say.
Frank Mir and Satoshi Ishii. Stop banging the table, Ryan.
Yeah, sorry.
Frank Mir and Satoshi Ishii. That was, I think Frank was about 281 pounds, and Satoshi was like 220 23 or something. There was more than a 40-pound difference, but
Yeah.
it was still an 8-minute match, and then they went into golden score after.
Okay.
It was really funny that golden score is a judo term, and they called it unlimited overtime for one of the other matches, and they called it golden score for the Satoshi match. I was like, that's funny. So yeah, when there's a more than a 40-pound difference in weight, their match goes from 8 minutes to 4 minutes. And there's a methodology for that. I don't necessarily disagree. I think you give the bigger guy longer to work, it's just harder to deal with. So you have more draws in those matches.
That's true. I agree. It's
There's
hard to
also-
do anything in 4 minutes, though.
Yeah.
But I do agree that, decreasing the amount of time is good because 40 pounds is a lot to deal with for 8 minutes.
The other thing is there's no heel hooks in this event,
Yep.
and there's no like extended time in the close guard, which wasn't an issue at all in this event. Last event it was got a little prickly in some places, but this event I don't think we really saw any close guard work. I can't recall. Can you?
I don't think so. No, it's mostly no. I don't think so either. And I remember you talking about that, whether it was allowed or not. And fun fact, I didn't know the heel hooks weren't allowed until the end when I sat there and thought, nobody did any heel hooks. And then I found out.
We've covered this before.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm also one of those people who doesn't seem to understand Quintet as much as I should.
Ryan, you knew you were going to cover it. So, second match was, man, I heard him say it on the broadcast. How do you say it? Antoine Jaoud? What's his name?
I don't know. I wrote it down, and I'm also staring at it, and I still can't say it. Jaoud.
Jaoud.
I want to say it
A
simply.
Team Alpha Male versus Daisuke Nakamura on Team Sakuraba. What do you want to say about this match?
It looked like Jaoud lost to Daniel Cormier in wrestling for a gold match. I remember them saying, and I saw a lot of like chest to chest passing, trying to get some pressure in. So I saw, I guess, that wrestling coming back from Jaoud. Should have taken the back, but lost it because he went for hooks instead of a seatbelt. That was just one of like the small things I feel like I saw where he should have stayed a little tighter, but not too much going on in the match, really.
Yeah, so they draw, and you move to the next match. And so the next match, we had Gordon Ryan in the 3 seed for Alpha Male, and in the 3 seed for Team Sakuraba was Josh Barnett. And this is when shit got lit.
Yeah, shit got real during this match. This was the beginning.
This is a match that everyone wanted to see. Yeah. It's like, okay, how is Gordon gonna deal with a dude like Josh Barnett, a big, strong, veteran grappler, veteran MMA fighter, technical with that catch wrestling background? Gordon's a jiu-jitsu guy, not really a catch guy, and whole shit did we see it.
Yeah, I mean, this match, along with the others we'll mention, it was just one of the dominating ones that you didn't think it would be so dominating. It's another example of watching Gordon Ryan make other people not look that good.
You're watching guys that grapple professionally versus a professional grappler.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it's not disparaging anyway. Josh Burnett's goddamn amazing and has, I think, some of the most submissions in UFC heavyweight history and like in the UFC overall, like him, Mir, Nogueira, like those guys are submission machines and amazing grapplers. And Gordon Ryan, the transition he hits to a triangle is absolutely amazing. He triangles Josh Barnett, which I don't recall anyone ever triangling Josh Barnett.
I can't remember either at a time when that's happened. The last time I remember watching Josh Barnett, he tapped one of the Gracies with a footlock. And I was surprised to see him do a toe hold.
Not Hyan, it was Henner's brother.
Okay.
What's the guy's name? They do the Gracie breakdown. I always can never remember his name.
I don't know.
The other one that actually still grapples and competes. It's not Henner.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he tapped him at Metamoris as a late replacement with a toe hold.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he also tapped...
He tapped Dean Lister.
Exactly.
That was the first time Dean had been tapped in like 17 years.
With the most uncomfortable looking submission of where they basically just crush your chest and pull your head up.
Yeah, it's a scarf hold neck crank. And he called it a choke, and I went, that's not a fucking choke. That's a neck crank. Yeah. I've had that happen to me before. It's like you're not choking, you're dying.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was actually the beginning of when we saw Barnett Lister kind of take a turn, because he immediately got submitted after by Keenan with a reverse triangle at Polaris, like 1 or 2. I want to say like a month later or something like that, because he had a shoulder injury, and he never kind of came back after that.
I agree. And I think it's, a mixture of, besides his age, I think him and Keenan were training together and being young and kind of really dynamic. I think Keenan could just figure him out. I think it was in the gi too, wasn't it?
It might have been in the gi. I don't know. It was a while ago.
That changes things, especially against Keenan.
2015.
I can't remember.
But it was right when Keenan was, on that skyrocket up.
Yeah.
Before, he was, again, amazing grappler, but that was not the turning point, but when everyone was like, goddamn, Keenan's a monster,
Yeah,
because he was
yeah.
tapping everyone.
Yep.
So let's talk about how we got to the triangle here, because I think the sequence for how Gordon was able to triangle Josh Barnett was really cool.
Sequence was awesome. Always sitting down to guard. Ryan does a good job of always getting the inside foot position. Had a awesome butterfly sweep. Did the same thing he did to a bunch of people that he does later, which is windshield wipers the bottom leg from half guard. Destroyed everybody's half guard doing the same move. Got to mount
no one
doing
had
the
an answer
same
for that.
way.
He just would like slide. He'd get the half guard, or he just cut direct. He cut the knee directly over the center. And once guys kind of like turned onto their side to address and like almost like shrimp away, he just cut them out that way.
Absolutely. And a few times he took the back if you turn too far.
Yeah,
so
he'd like run jump all the way over and like get the
it was like
the
you
gift
accept
wrap.
the pass or you give up your back almost
Yeah.
at that point. And or it's hard for anybody to sit in half guard. But
Yeah. So the sequence that happened with him and Barnett.
he finally got to mount, and Barnett tried to force himself out of a triangle. It looked like he just extended his arms too far, and Gordon grabbed his head with his legs. And I was surprised he finished it because it was kind of one of those, it looked a little bit too far.
Dude, I thought he was. I saw him. He looked like he was almost going to slip out. But as soon as Ryan hooked under Barnett's leg and Barnett was standing, and I saw Ryan shake Barnett down, I was like, oh, there's no way in hell he's not going to finish this, because basically Barnett's going to try to shake him out, and Ryan is trying to keep him postured down by not letting Barnett just deadlift him out of the triangle. And I was like, oh shit, he's going to get him. And then he taps Josh Barnett, and I was like, holy shit, Gordon Ryan is goddamn good.
The other thing I noticed him doing is while he had him in a triangle, he underhooked the leg and he was also holding on to the wrist. It looked like he was just preparing for an arm bar if he had to, or waiting for the adjustment.
Because again, Barnett's head was super deep, but it looked like, if Josh lifts and pulls out enough, if Ryan can't posture him down, he could basically pull out of the triangle and then pass the side control. And Ryan, I saw that too. He was super ready to switch to the arm bar and belly down on it if he had to in that position, but he didn't have to. Gets the triangle choke. So that was match 3. So now Gordon Ryan moves on, and Josh Barnett's eliminated. So we're into the 4th person on Team Sakuraba, which is Marco Souza. And this match.
Awesome match. Again, no break. What is it, a minute?
Is
that right?
Maybe a minute. I mean, the last guy, they raise the hands, and then you kind of walk over to your team, you get a drink, and they like rub your arm for a minute, and then you're back on the mat. Like there's no like a 5-minute break. Like it might be a minute, might be like 2.5 minutes between like when you finish, where they raise the hand and they actually start the match, but it's not a whole lot of time. So and we saw this play into matches later. There is definitely some fatigue going into the later matches if you've had one match, because you're dealing with a dude that's fresh or maybe had one other match in the tournament. So Marco Souza, completely fresh. Gordon Ryan just had to fight Josh Barnett.
Yeah, and especially tapping somebody, you're putting in a lot of effort if you're passing the guard, if you're getting a submission. Obviously, you're trying, even against somebody Barnett, who's just amazing and strong. So to come in here against Souza and do so well, again with another submission with a rear naked choke, amazing takedowns. He's had really good wrestling.
Yeah, all of a sudden, like Gordon's wrestling got really good all of a sudden. Like I don't know if I didn't notice it before. He pulled more, but dude's willing to engage on the feet now. We saw it at ADCC honestly in 2017, but he seems way more confident and has different answers now on the feet, which makes it really interesting. Like, he's not just a one-trick pony. He's not just looking for the duck under. He's not just looking for the arm drag. He'll body lock a guy. He'll go for a single. He'll go for he'll shoot the legs. Like he has the judo and the wrestling, and he can play in all 3 phases of the stand-up. He can collar tie with you. Like there's no area in which you saw Gordon Ryan like be concerned or try to like disengage from because he didn't want it. He was willing to fight guys in every phase, and that's a scary dude.
And he's really good at adding in the submission part to make his wrestling so good. So if somebody's in on a single leg, he may grab their neck or a head and arm or something.
He'll go for a guillotine or something like that.
To make somebody adjust. So he's never also just wrestling, which obviously is what you want to throw in when you're a jiu-jitsu guy. You want to be able to submit the person and make somebody pay for a bad shot, which is something that you saw him do when he tapped Keenan Cornelius in ADCC.
Yeah.
He came in strong for either a double or a single. He got a head and arm and ended up finishing it in a mounted guillotine.
That's one of my favorite sequences ever, because Gordon goes and he actually kicks Keenan's right leg, and as he rotates him over, and he chalks the leg so Keenan can't step forward and rolls him all the way over and finishes him with an arm and guillotine. That was amazing. So let's talk about the finishing sequence that happened here. Gordon Ryan, Marco Souza with the rear naked choke.
And this actually, before I go, this was one of the first ref adjustments that I did not like. I thought Quintet does an amazing job of keeping the pace going. It was my favorite event by far. I'm just nitpicking at this point, but they took him out of too dominant of a position, and that as a grappler would upset me. So I was upset for him.
Yeah, so I've talked about this for years, for like, how do you make grappling exciting? And Quintet was able to do that, and I'm not sure. So they do three things that are weird, or very different. There's no heel hooks. There's no extended close guard, which I honestly think both of those add to it, because you see guys actually having to pass. They can't just fall back for a heel hook. Or you saw an ankle lock here later in the tournament, but ankle locks are much harder to finish than heel hooks because the mechanics are just different. You really have to get all the way over to finish an ankle lock. So I honestly think that the lack of heel hooks makes guys have to pass and make guys have to get through the guard and have to get to mount. And the resets here, they actively penalize stalling here. And at this match, Gordon Ryan was in mount, and he was working to get Souza's arms like over his head to like an arm triangle, kind of like a triangle Craig Jones with in ADCC. And he's working, and it kind of slows down. He's still definitely working, like hard. And they stop it, and they reset, and they give a penalty. And I went, ooh, interesting. I think this is good. I didn't particularly like it, and I would like to see him keep working because I think he was going to get him. But it kept the action going, and it put a flag across to everyone like, hey, even if you're not working fast enough, we will reset you. And it's like, oh, they take that seriously. And I like, because after that, you saw guys push the pace.
I agree. If the results of what I don't like is this full awesome show that Quintet produced, then I'm willing to take it. You know?
But they're active. Again, that's what you have to do. You have to actively penalize stalling. And if like guys aren't moving enough, and they will DQ you. We've seen it happen. Like those 3 penalties, we saw a couple matches where guys get, 1 penalty or 2 penalties. Less in this tournament, but I think guys get it now that like Yuki Nakai, shout out to him, he was a fucking great referee, will penalize you, will DQ you if you stall, or if you are not active, not even stalling, if you're not active enough in the progression of your position or going for a sub. So that was actually really good to see. It'll take a little getting used to for me to get used to, like, okay, guys can't grind out of position. Like, there's no grinding out of position. You've got to get something going. So they reset him.
And so they had to start. Oh, here's another thing I wanted to ask. When do they start in like that downward wrestler's position?
I didn't get that.
Okay.
That was where I think
sometimes standing, sometimes wrestler. I couldn't tell who's on top, who's on the bottom.
And they reset sometimes to like the side control again.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of a, I don't know exactly how the resets work for Quintet. I actually want to go and look at their rule set here because it was a little confusing to me because they reset, I forget who it was. It was in the finals. They reset someone in a referee's, like a wrestling referee's position.
Yeah.
At a later point, I think they reset Mir and Satoshi in side control, and for this one, they reset them on the feet, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, on
so
the
it's
feet.
Different kind of. There's some they reset differently if you go out of bounds versus if you're stalling.
Okay.
So I think if you're stalling, they restart you on the feet, and if you're out of bounds, they restart you in the closest position. So that's what I think happened. But
okay.
We saw different resets here for different positions.
Gotcha. So the finish was the same. He got back to half guard. Him being Gordon Ryan, did his leg work back to. But he got to the back this time instead of getting to mount, and he was able to finish the rear naked choke.
Yeah, just beautiful technique. So now we're, again, Gordon Ryan, Team Alpha Male, in the 3rd seed still. So we have 2 guys behind Gordon Ryan, and we have the final guy for Team Sakuraba. Final guy is Roberto Satoshi. And even if Ryan draws here, they still win. Even if Ryan loses, Satoshi's still got to get through 2 other guys on the team. So what do you do here? Basically, if you're Satoshi, the only way your team goes on is if you sub Ryan. And ideally, sub him fast so you're not tired, because at a minimum, you've got to go through 2 other guys. That's no small task.
No, I don't. You just try. There's nothing else you can do.
You just try.
You just try. You do whatever you've learned over your life, and you just apply everything into one match and just do your best. This was one of the 4-minute matches. Which made it go a little faster. I'm sure Gordon Ryan appreciated that after having 2 matches previously and going against a smaller guy, having only 4 minutes to go. But this did end up in a draw, and it ended up knocking them both out.
Yeah, so basically they get knocked out. Team Alpha Male still has guys left in the roster, and Team Sakuraba doesn't. So they move on. So that's the first side of the bracket. So we know we're going to see Team Alpha Male in the finals. Oh, and they've had 2 guys that haven't gone. So we'll talk about how that changes their bracketing later. But moving on to the next 2 teams that went was Team 10th Planet and Team Polaris. So the first matchup we had was Vitor Shaolin versus PJ Barch. So we had Team Polaris, Team 10th Planet, and I've not seen Shaolin compete in a little bit. It's been, I don't know if I've missed him, he's been on Fight to Win, or I'm not sure the last time we've covered him on the show or what, but goddamn, he's still got it, man.
Yeah, he's still good, still very solid.
And this was a great match.
Yeah, it was great. Barch was just a little bit too much. Amazing transitions, just a half a step ahead, which was able to get him to the eventual armbar where he was trying to take the back, and Shaylin was trying to move around in order to get out, but he gave up his arm, transitioned beautifully, and just finished the arm.
Yeah, but for this, what it looked like, when I watched this match live, it looked like a bigger, stronger, younger guy that gave him, PJ Barch being just that little bit longer, that little bit stronger than Shaolin. That's what got him the armbar. Because his legs are still kind of wide when he finishes the armbar, and then he's able to just crank and lift Shaolin's arm out and just gets the tap. It seemed like, all technique being equal, it would have been a draw because they were in the last 30 seconds of the match. This was super exciting. I didn't think he was going to be able to finish Shaolin, and then he just pulls the armbar out and then gets the tap. So next match, we get Gregor Gracie versus PJ Barch. And it's like, okay, Gregor Gracie, again, another amazing competitor. I've not seen him since Polaris 5 where he fought Dorino, and Dorino hurt his shoulder. And I think that plays into a little bit, something happened a little bit later. So Gregor Gracie, PJ Barch. This was a hell of a match.
It was great. Gracie impressed me a lot. I should have known more about him, or I should have known how good his wrestling was, but I thought he was somebody who shined to me, who consistently all the way through, good wrestling, good takedowns, good passing, good guard, just everything all the way across. He was a pretty dominant force in this tournament.
This is one of the best performances I've seen at him recently. He looked amazing here. Again, this is a great matchup. Something about the rule set, or again, I think Alex Viana said it when we were talking about Quintet 2, maybe Quintet 3. It was, with Quintet, you're losing until you win, basically. It's like, unless you finish the guy, you're both losing. And so it's like you're down points. It's like you're down. There's no overtime. There's no get to go again. If you don't beat the guy by submission, you lose.
That is the best rule added to any tournament, I believe, because that's the only thing I've seen put real pressure on stalling. Otherwise, you can win by control only, and then you're going to do that.
You don't draw. It's a draw, but realistically, they call it a draw here. Really, it's a double loss.
Loss.
There's no win here. The only time you win is if you're the last guy in your team, like Gordon Ryan, drawing the first round, who we just said it, Gordon Ryan versus Satoshi. It's a draw. Gordon Ryan still loses that match,
right?
But he happens to have more guys on his team, so his team is able to win. And so, that rule, man, it incentivizes guys to fucking go.
Definitely. I really appreciate having that in there. I think if you could add that one rule across the board to other tournaments, I think other tournaments.
I don't know how you would.
I don't either. And I think it's good that honestly all these tournaments are a little bit different because it gives you something different to watch.
Yeah, it gives you different guys that can shine in a different rule set, which is really cool.
It's just that's the only rule I've seen that's been able to stop people from stalling because it forces them to move, like you said.
I think it's the rule. I also think it's the guys they get to. I think there's something to be said for the level of guys and the mentality of the guys going. No one in this event on any of the teams is a guy that's trying to stall out a match.
That's true.
So it's partially, I think, the rule set. It's partially they don't have shop.
Just a perfect storm maybe for this event of just having the right people, right match, good ref of moving everybody around, keeping it going. Yeah. It just made it really fun to watch.
Yeah, so let's talk about so Gregor Gracie defeats PJ Barch by knee bar here. Let's talk about the finishing sequence a little bit.
So he triangles both legs and puts the Achilles heel under his armpit and extends, which had to be the most terrifying thing to happen when you can't move.
Dude, Gregor Gracie, they get in I don't even know how to describe it. Gregor Gracie is almost in the calf slicer position from the back, where you grab the person's hips and you pull them back into you. But he's in a body triangle on the thighs.
Yes.
And he has both of PJ's legs in. And I couldn't tell what finished him. I mean, they said it was knee bar. It was a knee bar. But Gregor basically has both of PJ. He's on his back, has both of PJ's legs on like either side of his kidneys almost,
yeah.
and then extends up and hips up and like knee bars him. I watched it over and over. I must have watched the finish sequence like 10 times. They have different angles of it. I could not figure out exactly like where the leg gets extended. It was super weird. It was a cool ass knee bar.
It was awesome. That was awesome, especially somebody so big like Gracie being down there and then just coming up to triangle his legs just to finish him.
Misha Tate called him, everyone called him Gracie the entire time. I was like, oh, this is so confusing. That is not a descriptive last name.
That's true.
Because we're doing a grappling, it's like Gracie. Like every time I went to Hoist, I don't know, in my head, or like Hoist or Hickson or like Hine or like Horian, I went to a different name. I was like, oh yeah, Gregor. Man, I wish they just call him fucking Gregor.
That's true. And they do deserve their own name because I bet they feel the same way, where they're just like appreciative to have the Gracie name, but it's like, call me by my first name so they know who's actually competing.
Dude, it's just the entire time they call him, oh, Gracie has this. And I'm like, which Gracie? Oh, right, Gregor Gracie. So that was great. So Gregor Gracie moves on, and he is against Amir Alam.
That was pretty awesome as well. Gracie keeps it going with the takedown. Something impressive was obviously the wrestling the whole time that I liked watching. But it gets eventually to a Kimura, which he uses to pass. They had a lot of scrambles going on, and I felt like Alam was doing his best to hold on. But with that Kimura grip, he broke through the legs and eventually bending it back, and we were just feeling a little awkward about watching a shoulder bend that far.
Yeah, Gregor gets on top here, and he's in like the half guard almost, but he's almost cut over. He's almost the quarter guard kind of on top, and he's over top of Alam's body and just yanks and wrenches a Kimura, and you watch Alam get up on his other shoulder and turn up, and almost goes to straight armbar and just cranks it over and over and over, and you're like, oh, I have bad shoulders. So every time I see this angle, and we're looking directly onto the joint from the camera angle, beautiful camera angle here, and I'm just going, oh, this sucks, and then eventually he just turns it over more and he taps. So two funny things. First one is, in this shot, you can see Dan Strauss in the background on Team Polaris, and he looks like the happiest motherfucker in the world. This entire event, he's always like happy. Like they show him on the bench once, so somebody comes back from the team, and he's like happy, and he's laughing with them, he's smiling, and then right at this finishing sequence, he's like smiling and happy, and like, goddamn, he's having a great fucking time.
Yeah,
like I want to be Dan Strauss.
Yeah, I would have a great time watching him too. Just roll through a few people for your team.
Dude. And then the other thing that I want to talk about, I'm not sure when it happens, what match it happens, but we loved Quintet. Why do they have flaggers in front of the cameras?
I can't imagine why you would ever, like, as a
their side referees have cameras.
Yeah.
Their side referees have flags, I think, for calling stalling is what they're doing. And so they hold up either what color team it is for stalling, and then if they have multiple flags, like, it gets called for stalling. But they had a camera positioned almost directly behind either one guy or two of these guys. So occasionally they'd pull a flag out, and then half of your camera is obscured by a flag.
It's just weird to watch something block the camera. I'm just like, how does this get through? How does this happen? I mean, I guess everything happens in a still, again, favorite event, little nitpicking, but it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, it was just funny. Like, what the fuck? Why is there a flag here? Oh, okay. It's a referee flag. Yeah. Got it. So that was that. And then, dude, that shoulder looked rough. I was like, oh, God, my shoulders. So, again, Gregor Gracie moves on to the fourth match versus Gio Martinez.
Gio did amazing job with his reverse De La Riva. I didn't realize how quick he could spin. I've always seen it, I guess, but when he's on somebody a little bigger than him too, there's so much space. He just got under there so easily and was able to actually work a game.
Good.
He's good. Yeah,
like,
he's good.
He kind of gives some weird interviews now and again. And he gave an interview before Quintet that was a little odd, but god damn, he is so fast. He closes the space so well. This was also pretty evident that Gregor Gracie was tired.
Absolutely.
You saw that.
Yeah,
and you have a smaller, faster guy, and you're even slower because you've had two matches against big guys. You know, PJ Barch is a bigger guy. Amir Alam is a bigger guy. And now you're going against a fast, small guy. It's like, ooh, goddamn. This is when this team aspect where you have multiple guys in a row with very little rest comes into play. Because Gio's fresh. This is his first match. He's smaller. He's faster. He can cover that distance. And whew, damn.
So technical. He's tough to lean on because he's always moving. He's always in a different position.
He won't let you settle.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You know you can't settle because, like, you have such a short amount of time. There's no ability to settle here. So let's talk about this finishing sequence.
Oh, first, before we talk about it, this is where he gets kneed in the dick.
Oh, this is the match.
This is the match.
Okay. Yeah, I was watching through. I was trying to figure out. Like, I figured Gregor Gacy gets knee in the dick at one point in this,
this is
and it was Martinez that did that.
Yep, it was Martinez.
Dude, he flying knees him in the dick,
right in the dick,
trying to cut over a knee cup pass, and it looked rough. And I assume he was not wearing a cup.
I'm not sure either. I'm sure it helped to get a breath, but it's not. Dude, that is not I don't know if that was worth the breath that he was getting.
Kneed in the dick. Because, dude, he goes down. He's not playing. You can tell he's not playing it up. He's there like, God damn, that sucked.
Yeah.
So, and that was right before the finishing sequence. That was probably a minute before, and you could tell he was after that. He had some pep that was taken out of his step as a result of that.
Absolutely. If he wasn't tired enough, now he's just been knee cut.
Because it was pretty even. You saw Gio like really getting out ahead of him on the speed there, and then after the knee to the dick, he slowed down even more, and Gio was able to just lock up a Kimura and take it.
Absolutely, and roll through, just bent the shit out of his shoulder eventually. It was tight.
I think this is the bad shoulder too. I couldn't tell. I think this is the shoulder that he hurt in Polaris like a couple months ago with Durinho, because he like dislocated or popped his shoulder out. Durinho like took him down, and he didn't post, but it landed on his shoulder. And I think this is the same shoulder that is bad. So that makes sense that he kind of. The finishing sequence was a little weird. Like he tapped kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like it was out, but it was definitely like. It came out super quick, and it was interesting.
Agreed. And I think Gregor was kind of surviving at that point. He was
tired.
Just got kneed in the dick. Really, really tired. A lot of things going on.
Rough day right now.
Yeah, rough day.
So Gio Martinez moves on. We got Marcin Held. Yeah, I always want to call him Held, but Marcin Held versus Gio Martinez. And this is the first time we'd seen Marcin on this event. Because again, you're moving through your team. And Marcin looked amazing with the knee bars last event, and this event was no different. God damn, he's really good. Again, a little bigger than Gio, because I think Gio was one of the smallest guys. I think Uriah was the smallest guy in the event, but I think Gio was right close to him, being a very similarly sized, smaller guy. Marcin's a little bigger, and goddamn, this was a fun match. This is one of my favorite matches to watch.
This was a great match. Awesome transitions and awesome timing by Held. Nice to see him transition from knee bar, or it actually looked like he was going for an Achilles lock from an attempted knee bar and finished him with the knee bar.
Yeah, he finished the knee bar. He finished him really far out with the knee bar too. He rolls like up and over, and you see Gio's leg get all the way extended, and he finishes him in almost like that banana split knee bar. It is not that banana split knee bar, but he has the other leg pushed out. Let me actually say who I'm talking about here. Marcin has Gio's opposite leg pushed out with his leg, and as he's knee barring him, it's almost like at a 45-degree angle from Gio's hips out, and it's just a beautiful sequence. Held is so good with those knee bars, and it's really cool. I think he is the guy that excels the most with the lack of heel hooks. Like the way in which he transitions for the knee bars, it works so well with the Quintet rule set. Like he does a bunch of knee bars that aren't predicated on getting to the heel hook position first or after. He just gets to the knee bars, and then guys have to roll out in a way that allows him to continue to stay on the legs, but go for another knee bar.
And I would say too, Gio's good at heel hooks. So really, taking that away from him was bigger than taking it away from Held.
And you saw that a lot of times where again, a lot of guys reached for it. Would reach for the heel hook grip like really quick, and you see them move their hand, and I was like, ooh, interesting. But there was definitely some places in this match where Gio could have maybe heel hooked Marcin, but it's not in the rules. So it was interesting. Again, I like that you can't just fall back for heel hooks all the time, though, because it makes guys actually have to pass. We saw some top game from Gio. Like, we saw a bunch of different positional changes as opposed to two guys kicking at each other playing the foot game.
Agreed.
And I don't like eliminating a position and a submission out of an event, but again, if it fosters action, like let's figure out how to do it in the future. But right now, goddamn, it's a good event.
If this is that's what I said. If this is, I don't like some of the rules, but if this is the result, then I will take it. It's good enough to tolerate losing a heel hook, I would say.
So next match we had Marcin Held versus Richie Martinez. Dude, Richie almost Gogo Platos Marcin Held. Like he doesn't get like super under the neck on this, but he goes from like a high rubber guard, and then just Richie is probably the most flexible big guy in 10th Planet as far as his ability to play rubber guard. I think, is it Gio or somebody talked about he's the best rubber guard in the entire system. Like, he's a big dude, and he pummels his leg over in front of Marcin's face for the gogoplata. I was like, oh shit, Marcin's going to have to address that. He does it a couple times.
Absolutely. You got to see the full extent of his game and how whether either he's submitting you or he's at least controlling you with what he's doing. That gogoplata can turn into a omoplata, a straight armbar, and as we saw at the end, a one-arm kimura.
Yeah, he got held, pulls out. He pulls out a couple times, but eventually gets back trying to pass the guard in, and Richie just turns to the side. Because his leg is across of Marcin's face, the arm and the shoulder is trapped in that position, and he can lift up with his left hand and just rotate the shoulder because he's basically putting pressure on the face and then on the other shoulder with his leg. It's a super weird position, but just a really cool finishing sequence. Again, Gio and his brother have wins by gogoplata. They get to this position, they know this position, they use this position a lot, and it's a dangerous position, especially with a guy whose legs are that dexterous. So that was that match. Anything else you want to add about that?
I think the only thing I can mention about Richie is that he seems to be really hot or cold in terms of if you pressure into him and you start getting in this game of gogoplata, omoplata, you're lost. It's hard to get out of. But it seems that, and we'll go into the Craig Jones match.
If you can kick him out of his game, he can get beat, and he gets beat kind of hard. But if you cannot throw him out of his game, and you're in that rubber guard, that closed guard, that butterfly guard, that area, man, he is a monster.
You pay for pressure. You pay for pressuring into him for sure.
He's almost like I don't think you want to pressure there because if you pressure in, he's gonna get his leg in front of your face.
Yeah, you'll underestimate the flexibility. You think you have an underhook, and he's just waiting to put his ankle in your throat.
Yeah, he's a dangerous dude. So on to the match 7, we have Craig Jones versus Richie Martinez. So we're in the 4th guy on each team right now. Craig Jones is the 4th guy, Richie Martinez is the 4th guy. So they've each only got one other competitor left. So these matches really start to matter. And all these matches really matter because every time you lose, your team has one less guy and their team still has the same amount of guys. Each match matters so much because there's so few guys. 5-man teams, you don't have a lot of wiggle room there. So Craig Jones does Craig Jones stuff in this match.
This match was awesome. It was so quick, but so awesome at the same time. I call this a Kyotera footlock. I don't know what everybody else calls it. Maybe just a De La Riva footlock, where you actually have the De La Riva in, but you get to roll your wrist over the ankle like you're going to go for an ankle lock, but it comes in and the wrist kind of sits on your thigh where it's so tight because you still have the De La Riva in. There's just a small space to move your hand, but it puts so much pressure on the ankle. I couldn't believe that Richie sat so long. His ankle had to pop at least one time.
Oh, dude, at least. So this was really cool. I saw it. I was like, oh, there's no way he's not tapping. Because Richie's, again, stupid flexible.
Yeah.
Amazingly flexible dude. So guys that are super flexible in the knees, typically flexible in the ankles, it's really fucking hard to tap them with foot locks. But Craig Jones was going to do it.
Yeah, especially a straight ankle. You're probably sitting there thinking no, I can't let something like this happen.
I can't get tapped to a straight ankle.
It's real, but it's I don't know. It's just something that you don't think is as legit as anything else just because of the control position that you have.
And Craig Jones gets low, and I was like, I saw how deep his foot was, and I saw that Richie was trying to, and Craig Jones was trying to push Richie's hands away with his other leg, and Craig Jones turns, starts to belly down, and I was like, there's no way he's not going to rip Richie's foot off here. And Richie's trying to turn out and turn down and get out of it, and not spazzing is the right word to do it, but he's being very active on his shoulders and on his back, trying to basically just, I call it out athlete out of the position, just pull out and just rip out with it's not a technical escape, but it's escape that works.
Yeah.
And he tries to do it, and Craig goes, and just rips through his foot, and you see Richie limp off the mat after and he actually yells out and screams when he taps.
Yeah, it looked really painful.
It looked like he got hurt.
Yeah, it looked like he got hurt. Yeah,
but
it does.
Man, you do not let Craig Jones get that deep on your leg, and because you knew at a certain point that Craig was still going to get it, which he's trying to fight the hands, fight the legs, and just is too deep, and then he's turned away from Craig too, so there's probably a quarter second or half second by the time he taps.
Yeah.
When he's already probably getting hurt a little bit.
Yeah. His face looked like he was hurt.
His
before
face
he tapped.
was rough. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it looked like in pain. Such a tight foot lock too that it has such a good control position. Why I love watching it. Why I love trying it. I'm not good at it, but when Kyotera does it all the time, gi and no gi, and you don't need to put your far leg on the person's hip in order to get control, just because it's so tight in there. So once it's in there, it's kind of in and locked. I've seen somebody get out of it versus Kyotera. He did a really good job of basing, but
Who?
you've got to be specific. I forget
Fucking
who it
Superman?
was, but I think it was in the gi, and it allows you to grab the collars and stand up a little bit
Okay,
rather
that
than
makes
having
sense.
no gi, where you're just kind of kicking off and hoping to
You're
slip out.
getting lucky that
Yeah,
you're going to
you're
kick off.
lucky.
Like, that's
Absolutely.
kind of what Richie was trying to do. He was trying to kick off and kind of get lucky with a kickoff and make the space, but he just couldn't. So
It's too tight.
on to the last match of this. I just spoil it. If you listen to the show, you know I spoil shit. Craig Jones versus Adam Sacknoff. Again, Craig Jones is the 4th guy on Team Polaris. Adam Sacknoff is the 5th guy. So you can't draw because your team loses. You've got to sub Craig Jones, and you've got to beat Dan Strauss. So Adam Sacknoff has no small task here. And they were the last tournament winners for Quintet and Subversive. So this team is literally one of the first teams we've seen in Jiu-Jitsu that competes as a team. Like, these team events are pretty new. So these guys know each other. Adam Sacknoff's the last dude, and he's, again, a bigger guy. He's really flexible. He's hard to submit, and he's got a really good rubber guard and like a really good bottom game. And you gotta fight Craig Jones, though.
Yeah, you got to fight Craig Jones, and Jones is obviously really good and holds Sacknoff off pretty well. They went a little bit of back and forth. Sacknoff tried an ankle lock. This was one of the times where Jones starts waving his finger, kind of telling everybody that it doesn't hurt.
He waves like the audience, like, not gonna get it.
It doesn't hurt.
Every time someone does that, I always think of the Hello Japan, where the guy's on his back and the guy goes, "Hello Japan," he waves, and the guy goes, "Cool," rear naked chokes the guy. Back in Pride. I think it was Pride, I don't think it was Dream. And that's where the Hello Japan thing comes from, is the guy every time someone does that, I go, yo, you should maybe defend before
shaking your finger.
Before shaking your finger.
Yeah, I always assume it hurts. It's kind of like
assume
when
it's a
somebody
no sell.
smiles or says "come on" when they get punched really hard, like in MMA at any match.
It's like, that's the opposite of a no sell. It's
Yeah.
like, if you're addressing it, means it sucked probably.
It probably sucked. It probably really hurt.
Or like,
yeah.
oh, you got me good. It's like, no, don't say it, because everyone pretends that, like, oh, I'm a tough guy, but it really means, like, that's never meant it didn't hurt at all. It usually means that kind of sucked a little bit.
True. That's what I think anyway. So Craig eventually gets an arm trap, and digs his knuckles in, and
From the back.
eventually from the back.
Yeah,
Eventually gets to the back. Sorry, I forgot to mention the most important part. He's not just standing over
You
top of
got
him,
excited about
diggling
the
his
finish. You got
diggling.
excited.
That would actually be awesome. I wish he was standing over top of him, digging his knuckles into his throat, and that's how he subbed him. But that's not. That's
I've
not what
seen guys
happened.
get subbed like that.
Yeah.
Like at black belt.
It actually did get a little dirty. It got a little Wagner in there. He started covering his mouth
started
and
covering his
nose.
mouth.
Yeah.
Dude, this was really cool. So Craig Jones is super high. He's isolated Sacknoff's arm, so he's trapped Sacknoff's arm. Craig's on the back. He's trapped Sacknoff's arm. And so Sacknoff, credit to him, is fighting off Craig Jones' rear naked choke with one arm. And Craig has
For
both
a
arms.
long time.
Dude, a long time. So Craig eventually goes, all right, I'm not going to just, because Sacknoff's defense is good enough for Craig's like, okay, I can't just punch the arm over. I'm not going to get it. He gets deep a couple times. He can't do it. So he starts covering, smother choking, basically.
Smother choke, yep.
Covering the nose and the mouth of Sacknoff in order to make it hard to breathe, and also pulling the chin up to expose the neck. But when you do this, because Sacknoff has one hand, and so he is fighting Craig's other hand, that would be the choking hand, with his hand. And so Craig, with Craig's opposite hand, is covering the face and trying to lift his neck up. When you do this, the arm that you have to punch over is the arm that you're covering the face with. So it's a really fast and hard transition to make, because you can't punch across with the other arm, because the arm addressing the chin is the one you've got to snake under. And Sacknoff defends this for a really long time.
And if there's anything I've seen in grappling that works in this position, it's the rear naked face. You don't go for the choke. If you're trapping somebody's arm, you rip a rear naked choke and get it as close as you can, and you just start popping jaws or like whatever you got to do, and twisting and bending down, and like that finishes so many people. I've seen it IBJJF.
We saw Craig Jones do it.
Saw Craig Jones do it. It's just a matter of throw that thing in there, and just like the rear naked choke position is so strong. I think you can do it to break faces, and that's what I think.
Somebody got their face broken. I
that.
forget who it was. Was it Cub Swanson? Was it Cub Swanson versus Frankie Edgar? I think Frankie broke his jaw in the face crank there. Like, guys, you can get the ligaments torn, you can get your jaw broken in that position.
Yeah,
and it happens, not frequently, but because guys tap, but you can definitely get your jaw broken
For sure.
by that position if you don't tap to it.
Crazy pressure behind the jaw, right under your ears, where it starts to hurt really bad.
Starts to when I get it done and I don't want to tap, it starts to ring a little bit, and I'm like, once I hear that, I'm like, doop, done.
Yeah. I'm not interested in having my jaw pop, so I'm with you there.
So he gets him, eventually gets it deep. And again, Sakhnov, super good hand fight here. Like I was amazed at what he was able to do with one hand. So Craig can never quite get over Sakhnov's shoulder to get the one arm rear naked choke deep enough, because Sakhnov always can get his hand down and start addressing the rear naked choke. But eventually, after probably it seemed like a couple minutes, like 2 minutes.
It seemed like a couple minutes. It was a mixture of me being impressed by Sakhnov and really mad at Jones.
And so eventually he gets over the face and neck and just gets the rear naked choke. And then Team Polaris moves on, knocks out Team 10th Planet. And we get a Team Polaris versus Team Alpha Male in the finals. But before that, we had some more super fights and some super matches. So in the first super fight, we had Marcelo Nunes versus Hasim Rida. And Hasim Rida is the guy we saw last time. He just got promoted to black belt, actually. I want to say in the last couple weeks, I think the last 2 weeks, he just got promoted to black belt.
Nice.
Yeah, it was exciting. So we saw him at the last Quintet. Gio choked him, actually. He was dominant, and then Gio got his neck and choked him. So this was a great match. I always love them bringing back guys that we've seen. Like they brought back Tokoro. They brought back Nunes. Not Nunes. They brought back Hasim Rida. So we got to see these guys on Quintet, but not on the team. So that was kind of cool. This was a fun back and forth match. At one point, Nunes kicks Hasim in the face, kind of, or kind of caps him. It's obviously accidental, and he kind of adjusted. It doesn't look like Hasim has a mouth guard in.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. I was looking down.
It's all good.
Okay.
We're gonna keep going.
Okay.
Leave this in.
So also, I realized that Nunes had a mean ass double. That was one thing that I thought was worth mentioning. Something in the transition stopped. They were just kind of staring at each other, and then he blast doubled the shit out of him. I thought that was really cool.
I love watching guys get blast doubled. It's great.
And Rita was, of course, working his knee bar game, trying to do whatever he could to control the legs. I thought he did a good job of making him float, of making Nunes float. But somebody who's that heavy, just pressuring down after minute after minute, you could see it was floating a little less.
Yeah.
Pressure was weighing down. Hips are too heavy. And that's the only problem that I usually see with somebody working a knee bar game against somebody with really good top pressure and posture.
Well, he's working the knee bar from the guard, basically, where you spin across and you spin under for that far side knee to try to elevate them over. And it's just really hard on guys that are big. And that's kind of what gets that's kind of what gets Rita got at the end, is he's almost in like a single leg X position with going for the knee bar from there, where he kind of turns all the way over to be back to front on Nunes, and Nunes just kind of closes the space, gets him down, and is able to trap an arm across the center line, and basically is able to finish a head and arm from that position, and taps Hasim Rida and is the super fight winner for this match. So again, it was a fun match, but it was kind of a trite of at the end. You saw the float, and you saw Nunes kind of figure out what Rita wanted and just kind of run with that. So that was good. The next super fight match was Frank Mir versus Satoshi Ishii. I was super excited about this match. Apparently, I'm the only fucking one that was.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a slower match, definitely. You saw a lot. Honestly, you did see a lot of cool no-gi judo. And it was cool to see how good Satoshi looked. I was like, God damn, he has transitions. He was going for different throws.
He looked amazing. I thought his passing was really on point. And he was only 237 pounds, I believe it was. And Frank Mir weighed in at fat.
Dude, that's about how big Frank Mir is. He weighed in at 281.
Yeah.
Is what they said on the broadcast.
Yeah. Just watching Ishii, is that pronounced correctly?
Satoshi Ishii.
Or
it's Ishii, I think is what it is, actually, because there's two I's.
Just watching him move around, and he was just outpacing Mir for sure.
Dude, he's way smaller.
Yeah.
And I think he has less. He's a lot of miles on him, but he's got less miles than Mir. Mir has some miles on him. He just can't push that pace. And it was cool. I like how Mir went into this match with the knowledge that he was going to get taken down. He wasn't just being so defensive that it was super boring. It was, again, you're watching two big guys go at it. Occasionally you get slower matches, but it's hard to take these guys down. They're both veterans. But Mir was engaging enough where Satoshi was able to get takedowns on him. Mir shoots for a double leg at one point. It was definitely a slower match. It went the full time, moves into golden score, and they keep getting stalling warnings throughout the entire match, and eventually they get 3 stalling warnings, and the commentators are like, I'm not sure what's going on because they haven't DQ'd him. And
Yeah, I
then you-
remember that. That was funny.
And then you hear the commentator staff kind of like, I don't know what the fuck's going
Yeah,
on. And
yeah,
then
yeah.
You hear like some rustling of papers, and eventually,
Yeah.
like about a minute later, they're like, oh, so what's happening?
Yeah.
And obviously, someone came over and gave them or let them know what the rules were for the super fight match, and that they were going to continue to go because they were equal penalties. They were both getting stalling warnings. If one guy had one more penalty, which what happens, when Mir gets another penalty, he gets DQ'd, and Ishii wins by DQ. So it was really, again, it was really funny to hear. I liked that the commentary addressed they didn't know it, and I love that the event figured out and gave the commentary the information. Because a lot of times we hear on other events, commentators don't have a clue what's going on, and then it never gets addressed, where it's like, cool, as the viewer, I also don't have a clue what's going on, and you don't have a clue what's going on, so now I'm watching a match where I don't understand the rules. But Quintet was really good about the commentary staff wouldn't know something, and then it would get addressed again, and they would give you the information. I like that because it's always super bothersome.
Because then if you just say something, then you think you know the rules, but they could have been wrong or something. Because
Right.
because the commentators didn't know what was going on either.
Right. But I love when commentary staff addresses that, like, I don't know, and then they find out and they tell you, because it's always frustrating to figure out, like, okay, was that a rule? Was that not a rule? Was that they were doing, like, it colors the match because I don't know, like, what I'm looking at if the commentary staff doesn't know the rules, and they never address what the actual rules are later. So Quintet was really good about that. There was a couple times in the broadcast where they got confused about the rules, and then they would clarify later and go, oh, this is actually what the rule was, and they explain, like, oh, this is what we thought, this is what it is for this match, and they make it very clear. Again, people had some problems with the commentary, but I thought it was pretty good overall. Like, there was a couple positions Misha Tate obviously didn't know what they were, and obviously is way more MMA focused, but
And I have to bring up, she called Gordon Ryan Jordan Ryan.
she did. I caught that. I was like, she didn't just call him fucking Jordan, did she?
Yeah.
It's a little slip. Last week in news, I called J.M. Holland and Zach Maslany got their black belts. I said from Eddie Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Instead of
So,
from
yeah,
Eddie
I
Bravo.
guess it just
and I
does
caught
happen.
it in the edit, and then I realized I put the episode out. I hadn't fixed it, and I was like, well, he's fucking Eddie Ryan now. So it's like, we all slip up with names. So I honestly didn't want to give her too much shit. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But again, it called in the question, like, okay, does she know who Gordon Ryan is? Or is she, like, literally doesn't know the name? So
No,
it was
she
interesting. But
doesn't.
again, we all fuck up names. I am not really one to talk on fucking up the names.
Maybe that's why you just feel really
Dude,
bad.
I can't give. I would be remiss if I gave anyone shit.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if that's the right word for there. I'm not allowed,
Feels right.
not allowed to give people shit about names with how badly I butcher names every single fucking week on this show.
And this was the best example of that the ref can just walk up and go, hey, you're boring, and you're done grappling.
Yeah, it was. But it was a slower match, but we didn't see it go 4 hours. It was like, all right, you've stalled too much.
But that's
match is
why
done.
even that was entertaining. It's kind of like the ref can
Yeah.
go, I feel it still be entertaining. If you feel it trail off from how entertaining the whole event has been, you can just change it up. I just think it just created zero slow points and zero downtime of where I just wanted to go get a drink or like do something different.
Dude, whenever I
There
walk
was-
away from Quintet, I pause that shit. I came back.
Yeah. See, watching it live, I was like terrified. I'm like, there's subs all over the place. I can't leave. I'm gonna I brought my laptop to the bathroom because I knew I was gonna miss something.
Dude, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
For how many events we cover, there's some bathroom watching
Yeah.
of these events every
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
So on to the finals of the tournament. We had Team Polaris versus Team Alpha Male. Match 1. So because Team Polaris and Team Alpha Male have both had guys that have not gone yet, you have to put the guys that haven't gone first. Okay. So in the first round, they had Dustin Akbari, Manchur Kara, and Daniel Strauss didn't go on their teams. So they have to go first. So we saw Dan Strauss versus Dustin Akbari. These guys go to a draw.
Yeah, this is something where I don't want to be too harsh, but this is kind of that pushy wrestling that I don't like to see. It looks like aggression, but you're not doing any techniques, and because they can't punch in each other, it's just like the aggression doesn't really mean anything to me, so it doesn't add to the match as much. It was nice to see them get some wrestling in, but it's just a little bit boring for me.
Yeah, I think this is one of the more slower matches of the tournament. It was pushy. They drew. And we move on to match again, but you're losing till you win, so both these guys lose. It's like, oh shit.
Agreed.
And then we move on to the second match, which is Marcin Held versus Manchur Kara. Again, Marcin Held has already had a couple matches. He's had 2 matches in the in the preliminaries, and there's not been that much time between when he went and then going now, because he was in the second set of matches. He wasn't in the first set of matches, and he's going again versus a guy that's fresh in Manchur Kara. Hasn't gone at all.
Yep.
And so they go.
And Held was going for knee bars just constantly. It was like somebody was holding a puppy and said, if you don't go for a knee bar, I'm going to throw this puppy out a window. And he just went over and over and just kept doing it.
That's kind of his game, though.
It is.
In Quintet, like in his submission grappling game, that's really what we see from him. I mean, he's really, really good at it, but that's what he went for. He wasn't able to get it on Manchikera, but you go to a draw, and both guys are eliminated. Anything else you want to talk about the match?
I don't think there was anything too crazy that happened in this match. There was a lot of nice back and forth and a little techniques. Munch snags an anaconda at the end, but time started to run out, and I don't know how deep it was, if it was just kind of, one guy kind of lackadaisical because he knew the match was going to end.
Right, he wasn't there, he was going to finish it.
But Munch did a good job of staying on top and passing, and one thing he did had a really nice knee cut, which was just like the most perfect timing I feel like I've seen, where he backed up. It looked like Held was about to manage his guard. It looked like they had one of those moments where it's like a mutual agreement that the other guy's not passing, but boom, like hit the knee slide so fast. That was the only thing I feel like that I really liked.
It was good. So boom, we on to the next match. Back, we got some Craig Jones action versus Antoine. God damn it, I'm messing up the name again. Antoine Jaoud. How do you say his name?
Jaoud?
Jaoud it is.
I don't know, and I hope that's right. But if it's not, then let us know. I don't know. Send Maine a hateful message about how angry you are.
Please. I work kind of hard on this show. I try to make it not garbage. So on to this match.
So Craig Jones uses a back take. He takes the back right away to get the rear naked choke.
He plays a trap card.
Yeah. Zhao just stands up without defending and got his back taken.
This is a really cool sequence here because you see Craig Jones lift his entire. He has no hooks in when he gets the back, by the way.
Yeah.
Jawood stands up and Craig uses one overhook on like his shoulder and neck to lift his entire body up with Jawood and throw the hooks in after the fact.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
So before the finishing sequence happened, they started down in like that wrestler's position, which I hope there's not a technical name for that. I'm sure there is.
It's referee's position.
Is referee's position?
I know
okay. I'm sure there's people sitting there just like gritting their teeth, hating me so bad.
Dude, that's the show, man.
Yeah,
you hosted the show before.
True.
You know what we get.
Yeah, that's true.
We try to perform a service for the grappling community, but I fuck up names so much everyone hates it.
Yeah. So Jones is on the top of the referee's position and ends up. They had to actually restart. I don't know if Jones went too fast or what happened. If I don't actually know what happened, but it like restarted. He went for Joud's back, and then they had to restart. Went for his back again, but still got it.
Yeah, because this is when Joud stands up.
Yeah, so then Joud stands up.
Craig Jones goes, "Oh, cool, open neck. Gets across the neck, gets behind the head, and like you see Joud just go, address it, try to get him off, and just can't because you have fucking Craig Jones on your back.
Too late, rear naked choke. Another rear naked choke for tonight.
So on to the next match. I was super happy about this. I will watch these two grapple till the end of the goddamn earth. Till the sun explodes and we're all dead. Yeah. Craig Jones versus Gordon Ryan.
Yeah, I was super happy that this match was happening. Just watching it,
this is the third
super
time we've
giddy.
seen it. We saw it at ADCC. We saw it in the finals of EVI, and now we've seen it at Quintet. Like 3 rule sets that I want to see these guys fight in. We've seen it in. Yeah. I'm like, fuck yeah. No heel hooks, which is kind of like, I don't know. But again, now you got Craig Jones, who's tired. Gordon Ryan's had a little bit longer of a break because, again, he had 3 matches at the beginning, too. He had the Barnett match, and he had 2 other matches, the Souza match and the Satoshi match. Craig Jones has had a couple matches. He had the match versus Richie Martinez and Adam Saknoff, and now he's had the Jaoud match. So they're both a little tired.
Yeah.
But Craig Jones has just went versus Jaoud, who's a big dude, and he's got to fight Gordon Ryan now.
Yeah, which is just awful to have to fight him fresh, let alone after you've already fought somebody else. And Ryan does...
These guys have never met in a super fight.
Oh, really?
These guys have only ever met in tournaments. Think about that.
That's
ADCC
crazy.
And in...
They both compete so much, it's
EBI.
like bound to happen, I guess.
Well, you got to put it on. But I'm saying, like, I think no one's ever put this together to have them just as a super fight. They always have to do it in a tournament. I don't think these guys have ever been the first match for the other person. Because EBI, they would have been the 4th match or the 3rd match because they were in the finals. ADCC, they were in the absolute. I don't remember. I forget. I should know that. Jesus. And then this, they both had 3 or 4 matches. So it's really interesting. I just thought about that these guys have never competed fresh against each other. And that's really funny. And Gordon's beat him every time.
Yeah. And this was no different. Another dominant performance by Gordon Ryan. Eventually, Jones turns too much and gets his back taken. And it didn't even look like a full, really painful rear naked choke. I felt like he just understood that he being
He wasn't getting
Jones,
out.
that he wasn't getting out, and
Yeah.
it was just about to get worse. So he throws in the rear naked and then taps Jones.
I think, is that how he beat him in EBI? He beat him in overtime EBI. Was it by riding time or was it by choke?
I can't remember.
Because he
I
armbarred.
only remember that armbar.
Dude, but he cracks
And
his-
then I know he lost, though.
Yeah.
I just can't remember.
I remember the EBI, he gets Gordon Ryan's arm all the way out.
Yeah.
And, like, basically cracks his arm, and Gordon Ryan is still able to beat him. I
Yeah.
think he gets him with a choke. It might be just riding time. And the ADCC, he got him with an arm triangle from the top.
Yeah.
So, again, Craig Jones defeats Gordon Ryan by short choke. Again, go watch these guys. Go watch these guys. We literally did a bonus episode, Emil and I, a couple weeks ago. Actually, just put it up on YouTube yesterday, the day before. It's on the iTunes and it's on YouTube. Go back and listen to that. We literally break down both of these matches with Craig Jones and Gordon Ryan before we knew that they were going to meet in Quintet. This is before he was announced. This was probably about a month ago we did the episode. Go back and watch this match. I watch these guys compete to the end of the earth. So the next match, we got Shaolin versus Gordon Ryan. And I thought for some reason, I thought Shaolin was smaller. This is a 8-minute match. This wasn't a 4-minute match.
That's why I got confused in terms of why I asked the question about the 4-minute match. If you just look at them, looks like a 40-pound difference.
That's what I mean.
But I don't.
And I was just like, huh.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
they must have been just on that line of like, okay, like 19 pounds or something.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
30, whatever the weight difference is.
39 pounds and a half is what it probably was.
Yeah, I think it's 20 kilo difference. Yeah, so it's
Okay.
whatever. It's 40-something pounds.
Oh, jeez, math.
So yeah, I thought it was going to be a shorter match, but it wasn't. And Gordon looks fucking good. He
Yeah.
gets to Shaolin's back, and I thought he was going to choke him. He looks exactly like what Craig Jones was doing to Sacknoff. He's trying to push the arm down. He's got the arm trapped from the back. Gordon Ryan's going across, trying to get the neck, and eventually goes, you know what, I'm going to get the arm. And just extends. He does a leg cross over the face for the arm and pulls out, and he almost arm bars him over his thigh.
Yeah, pretty impressive to watch him stay so tight on somebody smaller to do that kind of armbar. You'd think he'd have to have his legs over his body and his face, but he was crossing it over the shoulder, and I just feel like you usually see people the same weight do that, or somebody who's smaller than the other guy.
You don't usually see a bigger guy do it to a smaller guy like this, or a guy with arms, because Shaolin has shorter arms compared to Ryan by a bit. You usually see this done to longer armed guys. Again, to watch Gordon Ryan be able to mitigate that and do it the way he did it was astounding.
Yeah, really nice adjustment, as
gets
always.
the armbar, and on to the final match of, not the final match, goddamn, I'm an idiot. The final match.
Yeah.
Gregor Gracie versus Gordon Ryan. So, Gregor got to win this one. This is for all the marbles, because we still have Uriah Faber in the hole for Team Alpha Male. So, if he draws, he's still going to have to go against another person on the team.
So this was one where I felt like they had a reset that gave me a small aneurysm, and I had trouble using the right side of my face for like 30 minutes. I think Gordon Ryan was straight up on the back, like holding him in, trying to work a choke. And I think this goes back to what you're saying is you can sit there for a while. We saw it with Strauss, or who's Stradolf?
Daniel Strauss?
Yeah, no, it was who was it? Sacknoff? Yeah, versus
Ryan?
Thank
Craig Jones?
Yeah, Craig Jones.
Yeah,
Sacknoff versus Craig Jones.
Yeah, where he's
Thank
like
you.
he's on the back, but he's working
I guess he's
constantly.
trying more, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if they didn't like the hand fighting or they just wanted to see more wrestling, or I don't know what it was. They're both really good grapplers. Obviously, they can start from anywhere. It'll always be entertaining. To take somebody off somebody else's back, I mini lost my mind a little bit. That was the only one I felt like I really disagreed with, that I just can't let go. But other than that, I love the fact that the referee has the opportunity to push things forward.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yep.
So this match goes to a draw, and Team Alpha Male gets the victory. Anything else you want to say about them? Again, this is amazing. We've already kind of espoused and talked about everything I think we're going to talk about. I was going to talk about some issues we had with the event during the event, but we've really kind of addressed everything. It was one of the greatest grappling events I've ever seen.
I want to say it was the greatest one I've ever seen. I will say that. The first time I felt this way, I think I saw the first EBI, and I was like, we're headed in the right direction. I don't like to watch combat jiu-jitsu now as much, but still, for that tournament base,
dude, one of those the first couple Metamorphoses.
That's true.
Were amazing.
That's true.
Those showcase events that are just like that kind of start to redefine the sport for like, oh my God, that like Metamours 3, the Hoyler versus Eddie match was like, goddamn, everyone knew about that in the community.
That was a really good match. That was sometimes when they put legends against each other, I'm like, I don't want to, but that was a really good match.
It was a really, really amazing event.
Eddie Bravo
I can't
did
wait
a
for the
really
next
good job.
one. And again, dude, covering the sport has just been so much fun recently. There's just so much good jiu-jitsu every week from all the different organizations we cover. It's like, I love that there's other organizations that we see more guys on more frequently, and we see guys that are like local guys or national guys or regional guys or guys, that organizations fly in, the super fights, the tournament matches. I like the different rule sets. Like grappling has gotten amazing to cover recently, and like events like Quintet highlight an exciting version of grappling. Again, I love super fights for their own thing. Like this had some super fights on it, which I love. Like I love big like fight to win. I love big super fight cards where you get to see a bunch of different guys match up. Like, oh, I want to see this matchup. They'll put it on sometimes. Or like EBI, you get two guys other side of the bracket. Or even like IBJJF, those kind of events, and LA Pro and World Series Grappling. It's all so great to cover just the variety of matches we get. And I know there's been some pushback to have a uniform rule set for jiu-jitsu, but I really love that it's still the Wild Wild West, and there's all these different rule sets because we get to see guys excel in a different rule. Like the 10th Planet guys, like they do really well in a sub-only rule set. Like they're not as much points guys, and it's like I love that. I love that we get to see their kind of action. Then you get like the straight like Mergali and like AJ Aggersarm, like points guy. Like he's going to try to grind out 2 points. Like you get different types of grappling, and it doesn't penalize certain grapplers for competing in the types of events that they want to compete in. And so it's just great.
Agreed. And I love the production that's been coming from it, the money that's get thrown into grappling finally. Between Quintet and Kasai, I feel like that's one really impressive main stage, good cameras, not much downtime. It's just the show flows. It's sometimes on some of these events you see like your event will be back shortly. I think that's crazy for somebody to not put something in there, whether it be a commercial or even selling something or just a little video.
The UFC does is the replay a match from the prelims.
Yeah,
in that space,
and that makes sense too. Or to have like a bunch of highlights ready to go. Or I know you can't have highlights for like 12 minutes, and sometimes the fighters need to rest. But that's why I like Quintet, because they use the super fights as an opportunity for the fighters to rest before the teams come back. And they have
video pieces where the guys are talking about the matches, and it's produced very well, and I'm very happy about that. So Can't wait to cover Kasai 4. Fuck. That too. Can't wait to cover Quintet 4 whenever that's announced. I think it's in UK. I think is what it was. We have a date for it too. I looked it up. They announced it, I want to say like 6 or 8 months ago, and they announced this one. Wow. So can't look forward to it enough. It's been outstanding. Anything else you want to talk about the event?
No, I think I said everything. I really liked it, and I'll definitely watch the next one.
Awesome. On to the next one. So on to the World Series of Grappling 2. This is the second event the World Series of Grappling has run. I'm talking really fast now. This event is a $500 buy-in and pays out $20,000 for the brown and black belt divisions. They have 2 divisions, an above 180 and a below 180. We're having some problems with the videos right now. They're on flow. A bunch of the finals and quarterfinal matches, like all Keenan's matches, are like 2 to 8 seconds long. So because we had a hell of a weekend, I didn't get a chance to watch these live. We were going to watch it after the fact, but we don't have video right now. So we have all the results. The results are available on Flow Arena. A couple of the matches are up, so we're going to talk about those. So the first match we're going to talk about is the finals of the above 180 brown and black belt division. Muhammad Ali versus Gustavo Batista from Atos.
So one thing I like about this is they give them a chance to do 3 matches in the finals. They really make a big deal out of the finals. They bring in 2 more refs, so there's 5 refs raising their hands at the end.
Which is what you need for a $20,000 event.
And that becomes a big deal during one of these matches. I believe it's the 180 under final, where that becomes a big deal, where somebody wins 3-2. So we'll get back to that, but
decision.
Yeah,
that
exactly,
was
decision.
Manuel Himamar versus Vitor Silveiro.
Yeah,
that was that final. Again, that video, it's not up right now, so we can't really do it. But we're gonna talk about let's talk about the match that is up, the Muhammad Ali versus Gustavo Batista match.
They were doing a lot of wrestling. Ali is just such a sturdy dude and very athletic and explosive. It's like it's hard to take him down. It's hard to.
That's why he's a world champion.
Yeah,
like you said, 2018 black belt world champion in like a not unstacked division.
And he did an amazing job of, even when he was down in half guard, he got like a pant grip and just bullied his way back up and stood up, got his takedown. just like hopped past the guard. He had one really athletic move where it's just like somebody that big shouldn't move like that.
Dude, him and Herber Santos both move like that. They're big dudes that move like too fast. I'm like, what the fuck?
It was a very similar. It was like an Herber pass where you just kind of throw your chest in and hip over the legs.
So this match on the finals here is, I'm not sure if Ryan made that clear, it's the best 2 out of 3. So you've got to win 2 of the 3. It's basically round robin with one other guy in the finals.
Yes.
Right? So these guys had 2 matches.
Right. So obviously if you win your first 2, there's no need for a third because you've isolated the winner. So that's what happened in this case. And Ali, I want to say that Batista did better even though he lost in the first match. When they got in the second, I felt like Ali was wearing on him a little bit. His posture was just a little bit too much.
It's fight of these guys have had. I mean, the first round is a round of 32 for this bracket. A lot of guys have buys in the first. Some of the guys have buys in the first round, but a lot of them don't. So you have a round of 32, a round of 16, a quarterfinal, a semifinal, and then you have up to 3 matches in the final. Like, dude, you got to earn that 20 grand.
Yeah, absolutely. And that second match is where I was saying that that Ali was on the ground and just grabbed the pant grip, and he kind of went to like a sprawl turtle position, and as he was standing up, he just ripped his leg out from under him. It actually turned it almost looked like a blast double, but it was just a really aggressive pull from Geek Grips.
Yeah, dude, Ali can do that. Sometimes he just pulls him in, and you're like, God damn, like he can just move guys in a way you don't usually see other big guys get moved.
Yeah.
And it's just amazingly impressive. So anything else you want to talk about this match? He takes the 20 grand, the above 180 brown and black belt division versus Gustavo Batista. Keenan Cornelius comes in third. Kenan Duarte comes in fourth. Again, I would love to cover more of these matches, but I was going to watch all the Keenan matches, and they're all like 2 seconds long, so I can't.
Absolutely.
So hopefully they fix
and
that.
And Duarte, I honestly thought he would do a little bit better.
Dude, we saw Duarte versus Margali in this. That match is up.
Yeah.
Duarte gets the decision on that, and it was like, ooh, really interesting. So, dude, there's some. Again, given how much money's involved in this, there's some really top-level guys, some really good matchups in this. Go back and watch it. And I will definitely go back and watch it. I don't know if we're going to cover it on the show again, but it's up on Flow Arena. Well worth the time to go back and watch it. So now on to the finals of the below 180-pound division. We have Manuel Hibamar in first place. We have Victor Silviero in second place, Gabriel Argis in third place, and Jonatas Gracie in fourth place. So on the final match between Manuel Hibamar and Victor Silviero. I want to call him Vitor. I don't know why.
Hibamar does well each round, I would say. Silviero, is that pronounced correctly?
That's what we're going with,
Silverio? I don't know.
Silviero or Silvero?
Silverio. That feels right. I don't know why. But either way, Victor.
Let's go with Victor. Fuck it. Let's call him Victor.
All right. Victor does better in round 1 than he does in round 2. I'm sorry, he does better in round 2 than he did in round 1. That was pretty much a wash. That could have went either way. The second match, I really felt bad for Victor. I think he should have had a chance for a third match. I think it would have made it more exciting because it kind of just left me flat as a fan.
Really close.
Yeah,
and it was
so
kind of
close.
Like, I hate when things are decided over like, that could have gone either way. It's always kind of leaves you with like, I think these guys could have done more and you could have seen more out of it if you would give them another chance to go again, especially in this format. And I agree with you there.
Like match 1, Hibamar ended in kind of a triangle armbar position. It didn't look like anything could be finished, but at least you see the sight of a sub in place.
Yeah, he was going for it.
He was going for
like,
it.
Okay, I mean, it's not going to probably finish, but at least you've earned that position, which is against a guy of that caliber, not easy to earn.
And Victor in match 2, I think, saw the guard that Hibamar was playing and just decided to play off a little bit and not go in too much. And they really just they're both so good, they stalemated each other.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a 3-2 decision. As I mentioned before, they bring in 2 extra refs, so there's 5.
Yes, 5. I do like that.
That's intimidating when you watch the end result because there's so many people on the mat.
Dude, you got your 4 corner refs and your center ref, which is, I think, your world should be like that.
Yeah.
Your quarterfinals for your world should be like that. Your semifinals for your world should be like that. Any big event, you should have 5 refs. There's no reason not to, especially because they're only running 2 mats, which I thought was weird. We talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yes.
They're running the both divisions at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's such a huge event. Like, yo, give me 1 mat. Like,
I can't flip back and forth between. I mean, think about Worlds, IBJJF Worlds. That's usually really big. Everybody's excited for it, but you're flipping through like 12 to 14 mats,
Usually
going
12,
crazy trying to find your person, whether it's a friend or a just good black belt match. I feel the same way when there's two. I'm going to miss something flipping back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, I need one mat. I'm a simple person. I just need to know I'm
Let
watching
us
like one
showcase
thing.
it, yeah.
I can't be the one to control what I'm watching. It just needs to be on. I feel like that's too interactive. I shouldn't have to click around to see the right person.
To it, or like,
yeah.
Give me like flow. What do they call it?
Flow zone.
Flow zone. That's
Yeah,
what it was. They have
yeah.
that. That's pretty good.
That's decent. I like that. I usually watch that when it's when there's any IBJJF event,
and
because
they
do a good job
Yeah.
of throwing people in. Every once in a while, you're going to cross over where you're missing a good match. That's just the way it goes when there's so many matches at Worlds. But when you're doing an event like this where it's money, I think it should be. It doesn't always have to be a center lighted crazy stage or something
Dude, you got that
like
much
Fight
money.
to Win Pro. But it probably should be.
You're doing 40. Sorry. Just for the finals, for each 40 grand, plus your second place, your third place, fourth place, all got paid out. Plus your blue and purple belt divisions get paid out. Like, it's like 100 grand. They're giving away. You're winning, not giving away. You're not giving anything. You're winning a ton of money on this. Like, bump the production up a little bit because, like, showcase how awesome this is. These guys are getting paid. Like, 20 grand for a grappler is life-changing money.
Yeah, that's what most grapplers make in the whole year or less because they spend so much time training. You win a tournament, sometimes you win $2,500 for first place.
Maybe.
And that's going against monsters.
Oh yeah, like dude, back LA Pro like was this week too. Guys were winning $4 grand.
$4 grand
for the black belt division.
They picked the wrong tournament.
Basically, it's only $100 buy-in for that tournament.
Yeah,
basically.
it's true though. Of course, throwing out $500 isn't always the easiest thing. You got to be pretty confident in yourself to do that.
Yeah, so that was again that event happened. It was good. I hope that the rest of the matches get up so I can watch them because again I just didn't get a chance to watch. I want to see Keenan. There's a bunch of Keenan matches. I want to see the Keenan Ali match. I didn't get a chance to see it.
I did see Keenan arm bar the guy who just got promoted to brown belt who just tore through everybody in Worlds. I can't remember his name right now. He's really young. That's a bad description.
It is, man. That's everyone.
But he had like 10 subs out of 10 matches.
For Worlds. Oh,
Worlds.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. The fuck is his name? Jimenez?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Jimenez.
He armbarred Jimenez.
Yes, he armbarred him very quickly. Nice control. That was the time.
That's like 45 seconds.
I was excited to see him fight, but I knew that he was stepping into a world to hurt with these like big name guys. It was nice to see him get in there and get some experience.
Yeah.
But to go against somebody like Keenan, it's too much.
You ran into Keenan in the quarterfinals.
You just got your brown belt, which is probably means you could beat most black belts, but not the level that Cornelius.
You were
is at.
elite black belts.
Elite black belts.
So
Yeah.
Keenan arguably could almost be a world champion this year.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
that does it for that event. Great event. Go back and watch it. Hopefully they sort that out and we can cover it more, or probably not cover it more, but we can go and enjoy it. But that does it for that event. So moving on to the 2018 ADCC European Trials. This happened in Bucharest. I don't know where that country is, actually. Not going to lie. On October 6th. So we're not going to cover a bunch of matches here. We're just going to talk about the results. The men's 66 kilogram division, in first place, we have Zaur Akhmet. Oh, man. Where is Josh when you need him? Akhmedov. With second place, we have Taimir. Man, I can't read these names. Not going to lie. On the 77 kilogram division, we have Ross Nichols. In the 88 kilogram division, we have Adam Wardzinski. In the under 99 kilogram division, we have Petru Teponin. And in the plus 99 kilogram division, we get Edgar Rafigaev. Oh, man. Women's results. Under 60 kilograms, we have Maju Sumata. So in the plus 60 kilogram division for the women, we have Yulana Vibe. So I was confused last week when we have clarified it. When you win one of these trials, you're in ADCC. So right now, like Wardzinski's in, Nichols is in. Every guy I just ran through of the names that I've butchered here is in ADCC. And so this is really exciting. We're starting to see the brackets and the divisions created for ADCC, and I love watching this. We have the New Jersey trials coming up. I think there's a Brazilian trial, there's an Oceanic trial, and it's really exciting. So who do you think is going to end up? I think you got New Jersey trials. Those are for American athletes. Do you think we see Ryan back in that again? Do you see Nikki or Gordon?
I think Nikki definitely. I don't know. Do you think he'll get the invite now that he's already been there?
Oh, I forgot about the invites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I don't know if he'll have to compete anymore, just because they might just allow him to.
No, he didn't win.
That's true.
Usually, you get your tournament winners back, and then You get usually one invite per bracket, I think, or something
Okay.
like that. And then
Okay.
they usually invite an MMA fighter, which kind of usually used to be really good. Now it's kind of like the sport's split enough where
Yeah.
your MMA
Yeah.
guys aren't as,
Yeah.
as dominant usually.
Yeah.
And then,
Decent point system for somebody in the MMA, I would say, but
yeah.
in the MMA,
In the
jeez.
MMA.
in MMA, but still, going against a purebred grappler, it's just too tough.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that's exciting. Again, ADCC is always my favorite event. I don't know why. I love ADCC. It was like, I think it was one of the first events that I ever really started watching. Back when I first got into grappling, I was like, what is this ADCC? Oh, you can slam. Oh, guys are heel hooking each other. Oh, it's like all these no-gi guys with no shirts, and just like, it seems like a really raw form of grappling.
Yeah.
And again, it was almost the most super fighty of the tournaments that happened back then, before we had like all of these other organizations coming up. ADCC always felt like this big special event, kind of more so than Worlds. It was a spectacle, versus Worlds was just kind of like, oh, they had good. It was a good tournament. ADCC seems like a spectacle. So
Yeah,
that's
and
why it always gets me
it's
excited.
always really entertaining. I think that's when we started to realize how important no-gi was on a professional platform. I mean, I love watching gi matches if it's the right matchup, but you don't nearly see as much stalling in no-gi as you do in gi.
Yeah,
you
can't
can't
grip.
just grip, and you really can't just sit there unless you're both tired or you both have a mutual agreement that you want to move that slow.
Yeah.
But for ADCC, it's always been a lot of fun to watch. It's kind of like our Olympics.
Kinda, yeah, a little bit.
I think somebody references that. I feel like
I
somebody
have
did.
no idea who it is, but yeah, that's the first trials done. Some guys are in it. It's super exciting. Go back and watch. I think most of the matches are up. I watched a couple of them yesterday and this morning. I watched the Adam Brzezinski match versus Sean Cotes. He gets him a Rear choke. Wojcinski's butterfly is looking great. He didn't actually play a lot of butterfly in this match. It was
Really?
kind of, it was interesting. So, again, go back and watch. I'm going to watch through the finals this week. I just haven't got a chance to, again, with all the stuff we had this week, go through all of the brackets to watch them all.
Absolutely.
So I want to do a brief recap of Fight to Win 88 in Orlando, Florida. This event paid out a total of $15,205 in television commissions and was headlined by Roberto Travas versus Ricky Screechin. Screechin? Yeah, Screechin. Weird thing happened. We were watching Conor McGregor and stuff that day. I didn't get a chance to watch this live. The videos are not up. There's no highlights up. We only have results.
I was watching Connor too, whether it seems lazy or not. I was planning to go back. I watched Quintet
We were
live,
recording on Monday.
planning
We were
to go
recording on
back.
Monday.
Yeah, so we were allowing all the events to kind of settle so that we could watch them and have time to do it, as it's hard to watch everything live, especially World Series, and I think LA Pro were going at the same time.
Yep.
So that you have to pick and choose, and we just not having access to the matches, just didn't get to watch it.
Yeah, I was mobile. I was at Shogun Fights, actually.
Okay.
And then I left Shogun Fights to go to watch UFC.
Nice.
So it's like I had a busy weekend of watching events, and it just
Yeah.
sucks because I was going to watch this event yesterday and today, and it's not up yet.
Not up yet.
So,
yeah, couldn't watch anything. No idea besides the results.
We have the results.
Looks fun.
Yeah, dude, they're always great events. Like, and
Yeah.
dude, Orlando, I'm super excited for the Orlando card because it has some great guys I don't see a whole lot of. Like,
Yeah.
we see them in Orlando, we see them in like the Florida events, but a lot of these black belts, again, Florida cards are always loaded, but a lot of them we only see in Florida. So I was super excited. We'll cover it a little more in depth next week, but realistically, we don't have anything to go on. We have the results, so that's being kind of upfront with everyone. I'm kind of disappointed because I like to put on Fight to Win like on Sunday night before we record and like watch through Fight to Win, so all my notes are fresh. But I can't do that today. So Renato Travas defeats Ricky Screechin via knee bar. Jason Kaplik, oh man, give me the name.
Cara Palucci.
Defeats Roy Even by decision. Kevin Peterson defeats Oscar Cardona via decision. Thiago Dominguez defeats Josh Shoulder via decision. Dakota Rabin defeats. Give me that name.
Surah Budram.
By flying triangle, that was submission on the night. Oh yeah, so
Probably all.
this is Dakota. Just got his black belt.
Siraj.
This is his black belt debut.
Okay.
And so he wins by flying triangle. Again, I want to watch this match. I haven't got a chance to go see it yet. But that's super. It's super exciting when a guy gets a black belt and then immediately comes out and puts out a performance like that with a flying triangle. So excited for that. Jasper Boulzon defeats Frank Dukes via decision. Kevin Gallagher defeats Zach Sanford via footlock. Coringa Conway defeats Walber Barros by decision. That was fight of the night for the black belts. Ricky Nelson defeats Fred Ramey by decision. Jim Allers defeats Philip Rowe via decision. Ray Rosado defeats Fletcher Linton via decision. Nick Mahone defeats Mac freed us via wrist lock. Fuck yeah, wrist locks.
Yeah.
And he goes twice. Give me the name again.
Suraj Budram. Budram?
Yep.
Yeah.
Defeats Colton Mosby with decision. We saw him on 2 matches this evening.
Oh.
So that's great.
Does that happen often?
A lot of times guys will sub in.
Okay.
And so it's not, I wouldn't say it's often, but once every couple events, you'll get a guy that'll compete earlier in the card, typically get a win, and then a guy will drop out or need a replacement, and they'll sub up later in the card. It's not frequent, but it probably happens once a month, something like that. Yeah, it's not too infrequent. It happens at all the belt levels, but that's awesome. So we will hopefully have more from that event a little later, but we just don't have the match video up yet, so we.
I want to see that wrist lock.
Dude, I want to see. I watch all the black belts.
That's true. I want to see it all.
Like I want to go back and turn on the event, and hopefully it'll be up like today or tomorrow. I can just get my midweek grappling, and I can rewatch the event.
Yep.
So that's that event. On to the next event. So on to our recap of IBJJF 2018 LA Pro. This event is one of the few IBJJF events that actually pays money, so we like to touch on it. Black belt, we had in first place, we had Hiago George. That's at featherweight. At middleweight, we had Otavio Souza. And at heavyweight, we had Barbosa. We had Hulk winning that. Black belt ultra heavy has one competitor, Felipe Trovo. And that does it for the black belt men. I think each of those guys take home $4,000. I think the other things pay out money as well. I forget exactly.
I believe second place is like $1,500, and I don't think third gets anything.
Yeah, no,
maybe $1,000.
Second place is $1,000.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
And then at each weight class, it's $4,000 for the men, and then $1,000 for second place. And then the other divisions, the women get $1,500 and nothing for second place. And then the masters get $1,000 at black belt, and then the brown belts get $800 for first place, purple belts get $600 for first place, and blue belts get $400 for first place. And then the masters of all of those, male, female, below black belt, get $400 each for the open class. So I want to say that World Series of Grappling paid out a similar amount of money in one event than IBJJF Pro did.
Yep.
For this event.
Yeah.
So again, it's a smaller buy-in. I think it was $104 or $119 to register for white belts, and it was basically $40 plus your registration. Right. So it was basically almost $200 to register for this event. So honestly, not a similar buy-in for way less money.
But especially, well, not to be too rude, but good choice of some people to do this event rather than others, because it's going to be a lot easier to clean up this weekend because everybody who's anybody was somewhere else.
Yeah, all your good guys are like.
Not saying whoever won wasn't good. Obviously, they're all amazing grapplers.
But you're not going to fight Ali or Keenan or Duarte or all the guys on Fight to Win or all the guys on Quintet or.
Yeah. Atos was everywhere this weekend.
Dude, they are everywhere.
They're always everywhere. That's true.
Man.
But they got so many elite dudes.
Dude, they're freaking everywhere every single weekend.
Yep.
So that was the IBJJF Pro. Those matches are out. Again, I'm gonna digest those throughout the week as well. We were going to cover the Kasai 4 Pro. We were going to cover the Kasai 4 qualifier for the 145-pound division, but it looks like that event was canceled. I can't really tell. There's some information about it from a while back, but now when I click onto the page, is gone for Flow Grappling. There's some information on Smooth Comp about the event. It's got 5 competitors listed: Frank Rosenthal, some other people we've seen before, but all of it's not approved this time. And they also. Kasai Pro 4 has 8 people announced for the main card tournament. So it looks like they're not running that qualifier anymore. And we were going to cover that on October 13th, I think, something like that. But it's no longer there. The event was supposed to take place on October 13th, and it's canceled. So, Ryan, have you heard anything about that?
I haven't. No, I didn't know. And honestly, if you look at the lineup, it's already really talented guys. I mean, it's already amazing 8 guys that are already there. Gio Martinez comes back. Ethan Krellenstein. What's that?
Krellenstein, I think.
Krellenstein. Yeah, I feel like I always read that and never say it correctly.
Yeah, Bruno Frazzado,
Paulo Miao, Gianni Grippo, John Calistine,
Toquinho, and Ash Williams. So it's a stacked lineup. Again, it's just in the past they've run these qualifiers and they're supposed to run it this time, so it looks like that's been canceled. I'm not sure. I'm kind of looking for some information about that because I would love to preview it. I'd love to cover it because we love that event. We've seen some cool guys come out of there. We saw Junior Ocasio come out for the first one. We saw Nick Calvanisi for the second one. I forget who was in the third one. I forget who, but Yeah, it's awesome. So that event's coming up. Looks like they've canceled that. And other news, the Olympus Invitational also happened this week. I've not got a chance to watch that. Zach Edwards took a really hard knee and really cut open his face on that. So that sucks.
That does suck.
Alan Sanchez takes home some money on that event, so that's always great to see. That's Olympus_Invitational on Instagram. I'm not sure if there's videos up for that, but it looked like a big tournament with a lot of 10th Planet guys. 10th Planet runs a lot of these like in-house tournaments for money, and so it's really cool to see they kind of taking the qualifier format that we see on Kasai, we see on EBI, and there's these. We see Brothers Jiu-Jitsu do it. These like other smaller paid in-house tournaments for usually around like usually around $500 to like $1,500 for these things. And then again, there's not a huge production behind it, but it's really cool to see there's more paid events for guys to compete on. And there's a super fight scene that's happening. That's not necessarily these big showcase events. That's like the Fight to Wins or like the Quintets or the EBIs. There's these local events that are happening that are getting guys a chance to get paid out. So that's always great to see. We've had some guys compete that we know on ones in Philly and one's New York and New Jersey. The East Coast is loaded with these events.
It's really nice to see people get paid. Always throwing money into jiu-jitsu is nice. We're seeing better productions. We're seeing more talent come, and it's nice to see somebody be able to focus on jiu-jitsu rather than have to go work at Target or something like that, because now they can do an event every weekend.
Target?
I mean, I like Target. I like shopping there, but I don't want to work there.
Target's not Walmart.
Yeah.
Basically, you'll pay more because it's not Walmart.
Yeah.
No, it's great. Like I love jiu-jitsu, and I love anything that lets guys that do jiu-jitsu do more jiu-jitsu, because they can spend more time on the mats, more time competing. We can get better. That's how you get better performances out of guys. Like MMA fighters that have to work a second job, we usually don't see those guys as the champions, unless you're Demetrius Johnson. You see those guys, in the lower card, they just can't make it. I love letting guys do a professional sport professionally if that's all they do.
Yeah, and allows you to dictate a rule set, I think, when you're paying the fighters, because you're able to say, like, hey, you're making money doing this. If you want to be invited back, you got to be entertaining. And I think that's just going to keep pushing the level of jiu-jitsu. Even if it's $500 or $1,000, it keeps bringing people who are hungry, and it just makes it more entertaining. And I think we're going to see it just continue to grow.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I love jiu-jitsu and I love seeing guys get paid. So that does it for that. So on to our preview of Fight to Win 89 in Miami, Florida on October 12th. This event is headlined by a 170-pound black belt no-gi title, Wagner Hosha, Mr. Competition, versus Augusto Toquinho Mendez. Super excited about that bout. Love seeing Wagner compete. He's coming off of combat jiu-jitsu. He's coming off of a bunch of other things we've seen him on recently, so it'll be great to see if he can, I think, retain his title. I'm not sure if he has the title or if Toquinho has the title. I know Toquinho has had the title in the past, so this would be a really interesting matchup. We've seen Wagner recently wrist lock Marcin Held on Kasai, and again, just outstanding competitor. Love watching him compete. The co-main event is a 175-pound black belt no-gi bout. JZ Cavalcante versus Fred Moicano. We have a 250-pound black belt gi match, Sam McCoy versus Devin Mullery. I'm going to butcher these names. 235-pound black belt gi match, Victor Doria versus Ricardo Ribeiro. 230 black belt gi, Rodrigo Mendez versus Joseph Riviera. 205-pound black belt gi match, Victor Schlosser versus Walber Barros. We have a 195-pound black belt no-gi match, Efren Ruiz versus Ricardo Atunes. 195-pound black belt gi match, Leonardo Albuquerque versus Herberto Repetto. 190-pound black belt no-gi match, Valid Ajuno de Lima Jr. versus Marcelo Macai de Oliveira. 185-pound black belt gi match, George Santiago versus Andre Ferre. 185-pound black belt no-gi match, Mateo London Amarel versus Adrian Benavidez. I am going to butcher all of these. I am so sorry for all these competitors on this card. 175-pound black belt gi match, Alexander Pramel versus Ricky Nelson. 170-pound black belt no-gi match, Enrico Coco versus Ricky Sleglia. Man, I can never say his name right. 170-pound black belt gi match, Kevin McKenna versus Jim Allers. A 165-pound black belt gi match, Jake Ferreira versus Gon Mortamarco. 160-pound black belt no-gi match, Josh Garcia versus Herbert Burns. That's Duino's brother. 151-pound black belt gi match, Adam Ferreira versus Ricardo Diaz. 150-pound black belt gi match, Jeff Nyes versus Forrest Moyana. A 150-pound black belt gi match, Renny Gonzalez versus Vitor Ricotti. And onto that, we have a brown belt female nogi welterweight title, Maggie Grandali versus Brittany Elkin. This would be a super exciting match. We saw Maggie take the title, I want to say it was the last Maryland card. I think, I forget what number that was, but that was the most recent card in Maryland. We saw her beat Vanessa from Team Lord Irvin. Looked really good. Maggie, I think, is still a purple belt, but she has the brown belt and the purple belt title at that weight class, so it'll be really exciting to see her go and compete against Brittany in the gi in the no-gi for the welterweight title here. I think Brittany has the gi and no-gi welterweight title. I'm pretty certain that I've seen her win the no-gi title, so it'll be super exciting to see that. Again, this whole card is stacked with black belts. Miami always brings it. Miami always has some of the best matches of the year, so it's great. I know that Wagner Hosha, his daughter, and his son are both on this card as well, so literally all of the Hoshas are on this card. It'll be super exciting. His son, I think is 12, is later down in the card, and his daughter, I forget where she is. There we go. Jasmine Rocha versus Maria Laguno. So, again, looks like an outstanding card. Tune in, watch that. So, I think I cut you off less this time, Ryan.
Definitely less. As to the point you can see I even have trouble jumping in. I'm still hurt from last time yeah.
Did I listen to that? I was like, God damn, I'm a dickhead. I mean, Josh called us up the next episode. He goes, you guys are a dickhead.
Yeah.
You cut him off all the time.
What did he say? Why did you guys treat Ryan like the redheaded stepchild or something?
Yeah, we had two microphones, so I couldn't get the board working that episode, so we had to record off the two microphones versus the one microphone.
Yeah.
And so it threw me off. But yeah, dude, I'm super happy that you came out, super happy that family's doing well. And
thank you.
You still training, or you just got the kiddo?
No, still training. Last week I was training 5 days.
Jesus, that's awesome.
I'll have to wake up at like 5 to do a 6 a.m. class, maybe creep in at night, take advantage of the weekends, and just go whenever I can. But it's still been good.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear you're still able to train with the kiddo, because I see a lot of guys have a kiddo and then they're unable to do anything.
Yeah.
Based on just what they have going on. So it's cool to see you're still training. Obviously, still watching jiu-jitsu, still enjoying events.
Yep. Yeah. My wife, although married to me, hates me because if I'm not doing jiu-jitsu, then I was watching it and I'm like holding the baby. And she's like, oh, well, you got to stand up and walk around if she's crying and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like looking at the TV back and forth. So I was like a very average father this weekend.
A very
very mediocre father.
How old's your child?
She's about to be a month old on the 9th.
That's a very small.
Isn't that crazy?
That's an infant.
Yeah, it's an infant. She's tiny.
So you're getting into jiu-jitsu quickly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, this is jiu-jitsu. This is Quintet. Yeah. It's awesome. You're not going to remember this, but remember it was great.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome, yeah, turn her around and make her watch it and say, this is what you do when somebody talks to you in a negative way. You bend their arm over their head until you hear like a loud snapping noise.
That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, really appreciate you coming out. And, as always, great to have you. And good to have you on the team.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
As always, you can email us at thegrapplingrewind@gmail.com. You can check us out on Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere you can find
Facebook
podcasts. We're on Facebook, Grappling Rewind,
Instagram,
Grappling Rewind,
Twitter,
Grappling Rewind.
Reach out to us on social media. If you got something you want us to cover, you want to clarify, we are here.
You want to tell us we're idiots. Hey, let us know.
You want us to pronounce your name correctly?
Let us know. Subscribe on the YouTube page. Leave us a review.
Helps us out a lot.
It helps us out, and it eventually will help you out. We like to give back. We're doing this as something that isn't done, so help us help you. Again, as always, I'm Josh.
I'm Maine.
And this is the Grappling Rewind podcast.
We'll see you on the mats.